into the charts. If you can all hear me, if I'm audible, type in a yes into the charts. Fantastic. Hi, FW, Aziz, Francisca, Chiamaka. Good to have you all join us today. We're having a very straightforward, straight to the point session today where we'll walk you through what it takes for you to become a business analyst, and also in the process, debunk a whole lot of the myth and misconceptions that you get to find out, or you've heard at one point in time in the process of transitioning into tech, especially in the area of business analysis. All right. So sit back, relax. Let's have a wonderful session today. And I'll try to keep it as interactive as possible. So keep the questions coming into the chats. My colleagues are on the call to answer the questions. And if you have, at the end of the session, we'll take a Q&A. All right. So if you give me 1.5 hours of your time this evening, we'll walk you through what it takes to become a business analyst. And I'll tell you for a fact that a whole lot of the things you've heard in the past or currently are totally wrong. And I keep on hearing people give this very wrong information, and it makes it seem like it's so difficult and impossible to transition and get into the space. However, people are getting jobs every single day, springing out of Tenalytics. All right, so let's get into the session. And now, before we start, I'd like to know where you're joining us from. I know we're expecting a lot of people to join us eventually, but while we wait for them, let's do a little bit of introduction. So I'm joining from the UK. I'd like to know where you are all joining from. So just type it into the chat. We are currently 48 on the call. Alvin is from South Africa, Cape Town, Houston, Texas, London, FW, Ufoma. Good to have you on the call. Nairobi, Kenya, Poland. Brilliant. Atlanta, Osogbo, Nigeria. Lasgidi, Israel. Good to have you on the call today. Kojo from Ghana. Fantastic. So let's get into it. Okay. And like I said, Egypt. Fantastic. We have people joining us from Egypt. Texas. Absolutely fantastic. And that's the beauty of virtual learning. What I think post-COVID, we've had this acceleration, of the adoption of virtual learning, remote working, and so on and so forth. And I think that's one of the best things that happened during the COVID era. And I believe it's here to stay today. Today, you're negotiating for a job. One of the things you want to negotiate for is hybrid work remotely. I don't have to come to the office every single day. Okay. AN Holdings is saying, I can't even imagine myself back in the office. That's impossible for me to do at this point in time. I work from home 100%. Dora, brilliant, from the UK. All right. So let's get into the session today. And like I said, we'll be very straight to the point, direct into what we have to cover. And so we can have time to take questions before we wrap up today. All right. So how to secure your first job as a business analyst. That's why we're here today. All right. But just quick introductions for those of you that are new to our masterclass. My name is Adeza Suleiman. I'm a data analytics expert, and I've also worked as a data science consultant for different organizations, Fortune 500 companies in the UK and in the US. I've also worked as a management consultant. I started my career as a management consultant, then I switched into data analytics. And I've been in data analytics for close to a decade of my career across 5 different sectors and so many organizations with a combined value of over $5 billion. And I've been able to train over 8,500 people over the course of my professional career. And while we started Tenalytics to help more Africans and people of the Black community to get into tech. Now, you'd see the fact that a whole lot of Africans across the globe, you go into an organization and you find out that, or you go into a country, the UK, for example, and you find so many Africans, Nigerians, Ghanaians, but doing the menial jobs, and you hardly find a Nigerian holding a key role, especially in technology role. And then we decided to change that narrative. And 3 years ago, we set up Tenalytics as a platform to help people make that jump and get jobs within the business analyst space. And we've helped over 1,000 people transition from the classroom into their first jobs across different areas within the tech ecosystem. So that is moving from the classroom to getting their first jobs in tech, over 1,000 people. And that's what we aim to achieve in terms of capacity development within Africa itself and Africans in the diaspora and so on and so forth. All right. So that's who we are at Analytics, and this is who I am. Please follow and, let's connect, share ideas on Twitter, LinkedIn, and also on Instagram. Okay. Now, before we get into our session today, let me ask very quickly, who is a business analyst? And in your own very simple terms, you don't need to use any specific standard definition. In your own words, who is a business analyst? And I just want one person. Okay, like I said, we want to take time into consideration while we have our session today. Who is a business analyst? I'd love one person to speak. You can act. Okay, so we have, although I don't have your name, 420504. Please introduce yourself and then tell us what you think. Who is a business analyst?
I am Emechebe Augustine.
Emechebe. Okay.
I live in Poland, Poznan to be specific. In a simple term, I can say a business analyst. To me, my own term, I can say is a middleman. Somebody who is like an intermediate between the client and the company. So he's a middleman.
Brilliant. Fantastic. I love that word, middleman. And of course, for anybody who has been in a Analytics masterclass before, you'd understand the fact that we also use that term that Emechebe just mentioned, and you get to hear that shortly. Thank you very much, Emechebe, for contributing to the session. Now, today we'll be looking at a scenario, a very quick scenario, and I'll just walk you through the scenario just to give you an idea of what a business analyst would do in an organization, okay? Because people mix it up and they mix data analytics with business analysis and even business analysis with business analytics, but they are two totally different career paths. So sorry about that. So I'm just going to mute everybody. Okay, I'll mute everybody so we can't unmute ourselves. Please just Ubam, don't do anything. I'm just going to mute so that others can't unmute themselves again. All right. Now we'll be looking at this key scenario. Okay, it's a scenario where for a retail company, the name of the company is Retail Max, and they have issues with their checkout process. All right. Now, who is Retail Max? Retail Max is a popular store in the heart of the city. And while they enjoy a whole lot of patronage from customers, and because they have, vast amounts and vast variety of products to attract customers from different demography, they also face a major challenge. And that challenge is long queues at the checkout counters. So you can see people standing at the checkout counters to pay for the items they have, selected. Now, the customers are often disgruntled, upset by the slow checkout process, okay? And this has led to dissatisfaction and in some cases, even abandon the products or the items they have, put into their carts or put into their, rollers eventually. So how do we solve this problem? Okay, so it's a checkout process at Retail Max. And as a business analyst, you are meant to come in to address this challenge. Now, I'm going to give or tell you what a business analyst does in an organization. But let's put this at the back of our minds that this is the problem we're trying to solve. Okay, the checkout process at Retail Max. You have so many customers and they have to queue at the counters to make payments, scan their items, and then eventually get their product out of the store. So how do we solve this problem? Just like Emechebe said, a business analyst. Who is a business analyst? A business analyst is that professional who serves as a middleman, to use Emechebe's words, who serves as a middleman between the business or the stakeholders and the technology team. All right. Every organization wants to grow. Every organization wants to be efficient. Now, in being efficient or efficiency, improving efficiency in an organization sometimes would require some level of automation, acquiring, different software, or building and developing software and so many other applications. All right. That business analyst, who is the middleman between the business and the technology team, understands the business and can then sit with the different stakeholders, gather requirements of that particular automation that they want to implement or the software they want to deploy. Gather the requirements. What would you want in this application? Oh, you want it to have this particular feature. You want it to do this, do that, and do that. Okay. The business analyst would gather all those requirements and then interface with the technology team to ensure that they implement those different requirements to the best of. Okay, somebody's saying they can't hear me. Damilola and Ubon, please, at any point in time, if my audio goes bad, let me know so that I'll, address it immediately. But I believe my audio is very good at this point. All right. So the business analyst ensures that all the features, all the functional requirements, non-functional requirements gathered from the business are implemented by the technology team. So that's one of the key objectives of a business analyst. And Emechebe was 100%, on point with that. So the business analyst is that professional who serves as a bridge between the stakeholders and the technology team. Now, also remember that when you implement new technology, implement new or acquire new systems within the organization, everybody has to change the way they work. All right. And when you have to change the way you work, it's important that you know how to change. Organizations would always change to ensure that they grow and achieve their objectives. So a business analyst is that individual that ensures that change happens in the organization. So as a business analyst, you are a change enabler. You're somebody that facilitates changes within the organization. You facilitate change and ensures that the change sticks and people buy into the changes, the different implementations that the organization would be involved in. All right. So as a business analyst, you're also a change enabler. You also facilitate and drive change within the organization, improving efficiency and effectiveness. All right. Now, for you to do all of this fantastic stuff, you must understand the business. So as a business analyst, when you get into an organization, the first thing is understanding the business and what's the business objective. Because for you to recommend or for you to offer advice, provide solutions, recommend solutions, optimize different processes, you must understand the business. Okay, so that's also a very critical aspect of the role of the business analyst. You are involved in understanding the business objectives and where the business is growing to and also trying to achieve. All right, now the last key attributes of the business analyst is they work across various industries and they are also involved in everything. Like I said, they know what the business objectives are for that particular year and even into the future. What's the strategy for the next 5 years? What's the strategy for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and so on and so forth? And they're involved in crafting the strategy. So when you have strategy retreats, you have departmental meetings to define and come up with strategy. The business analyst is also involved to ensure that whatever strategy comes up from either the group or the directors or the owners of the company is devolved effectively into the different departments or divisions of the organization. So as a business analyst, you also work across various industries and you're involved in everything from strategy to different requirements, managing projects within the organization, and so on and so forth. So a business analyst is a versatile professional who ensures that the business achieves its objectives through process automation, process optimization, ensuring that if a process takes 1 week, 2 weeks to get completed, how can we reduce that 1 week to 2 days or even 24 hours? What do we need to do to achieve those level of, that level of efficiency to ensure that the company meets its objectives? All right, I'll pop into the chat from time to time so that I don't miss the questions from the chat. Can we get the class recording? Absolutely, Queen, you'd get that as well, the class recording and also the slides. Now let's go back to the case study we have to look at today and quickly walk through it and see some of the key roles that the business analyst would have to deploy or the business analyst would have to initiate to ensure that they achieve an efficient and effective checkout process. Because remember, Retail Max has a challenge, and that challenge is slow checkout process. Okay, so again, this is the problem statement. Due to an inefficient checkout process, Retail Max is experiencing long queues. Customers have to wait, and customers are not happy about waiting for so long at the different checkout counters. All right, so 3 objectives the business analyst would come up with. Okay, and the first one is to assess the current process. Okay, so we need to look at the process. What do we have at the moment? All right, and this particular objective is one of the critical aspects of the business analyst role. Okay, looking at what currently exists. What is the current process? Can we identify the current state? Only when you know what is currently on ground before you can recommend or even optimize and identify where you have inefficiencies and plug in those gaps to ensure that you're able to optimize that process. So assess the current process. Secondly, of course, come up with recommendations to improve and streamline the checkout process. And lastly, enhance customer satisfaction, which would potentially increase sales. Customers are not happy at the moment because they have to wait for long. Some of them abandon their, trolleys and eventually don't get to buy what they want because they have to wait too long on the queues. Now, the business analyst would then need to do what? Let's start from the first objective. Florence, you have your hand up, and I think you've done that before. Your video is also on. Do you have something to say? Can you type that in the chat, Florence? Type it in the chat. Would answer your question from the chat. Okay, so if you have a question, please type it in the chat. I can see you have your hand up at the moment so that we don't have too many distractions. All right, so now one of the first things the business analyst would want to do is assess the current process to identify where the issues are. And to assess the current process, you need to carry out gap analysis. Or before you even carry out your gap analysis, you need to map out the current process, okay? So you need to map out, okay, the current process. And to map out the current process, you need to understand how to use some diagramming tools, okay? So where does the process start from and how does the process end? Only when you can map out the current process, then you can identify where you could have issues, where the problems are, and either eliminate those problems or optimize those areas for better efficiency. And to map out the process you need within the organization, you'd use tools like Draw.io, okay, and Microsoft Visio. And there's so many other diagramming tools like Lucid Charts and so on and so forth. You have Lucid Charts as well. But Draw.io is a very common and a very fantastic diagramming tool that you can use for process mapping. Okay, so one of the first things you do is to map out the process to see what currently exists. Now, when you see what currently exists, you can then come up with the current state. You know that this is what we have. Currently, what do we have? Customers, we have a lot of queues at the checkout, and customers have to wait to pay for their items, which is a hassle. Some of them have to abandon the items eventually because the queues are long. All right. Secondly, the cashiers manually have to scan each item. I'm sure for some of you who are very used to going to, the different convenience stores and even very large stores as well, you'd have to, the cashiers would have to, scan those items one after the other, and then you make your payments before you can leave the store. Lastly, there's an increased cart abandonment. People are leaving their trolleys. They don't complete the payments because they get frustrated by the very long queues and they have to leave. All right. Now, looking at the process, the business analyst in this case decided to address these three key areas. And the first thing the business analyst decided to implement, which out of research and was also seen in different other organizations, was first of all, to come up with a self-checkout kiosk. All right. So we have the traditional way in our organization today where customers would have to wait on the queue, scan their items before they pay. What if we have a self-checkout kiosk? Okay, so the self-checkout kiosk is simply a kiosk where customers would go to scan the items themselves and make payments and bag their items and leave. So this would be an addition to the current process that already exists, the traditional checkout counters. And this is what this business analyst is recommending. Secondly, of course, with the self-checkout kiosk, the customers would also have the option to scan, bag their items, and also pay. And you'd have different payment methods for the customers to make payments. So you can slot in your cash, you get change if you need to get change, or you can use your card to tap in, or you put in the card and then you get to make payments. So this business analyst has looked at the current state of things and has said, oh, this is what I think would optimize the process for us and eliminate the queues, also making the customers happy. So you identify the current state, you know what you want the future state to look like, but there is a gap. And what is that gap currently? You need the self-checkout kiosk. You need to implement. So it's either you are going to have to build one, or you'd have to acquire and buy one off the shelf that already exists. Okay. Now we want to get the self-checkout kiosk and make some modifications to it to fit into what the organization would currently need. As a business analyst, you then initiate a project, right? You start with project initiation. As a business analyst, you'll be involved in managing projects, tracking project deliverables, and ensuring that whatever the company has set out to achieve, which requires either implementation, building of a software, designing and developing an application, you set up a project and manage and track that project. So project initiation is very key. And this is where you scope the project. What would the project entail? How many people would be involved? How long is this project going to take? And what are the confines of what we want to achieve from this particular project? All right. The problem has already been defined and we know what we want to do. We want to solve the long queues in the organization, in the company. Now, what's the scope of the project? You also identify this during the project initiation phase. And as a business analyst, you must understand different project management methodologies that would enable you manage projects effectively and also track the projects. So methodologies like Agile, Waterfall, Scrum, and so on and so forth are very important for the business analyst. And how do you also track your project deliverables across different teams and different team members? You need to leverage tools for project tracking. And one of those tools you can leverage is Trello and Jira. So these are fantastic project tracking tools that you can leverage, you can use to track project deliverables on a project. So as a business analyst, you're not just managing the project, you're also tracking the deliverables to ensure that everything set out to, defined to be achieved in that project is adequately tracked and delivered to the quality, and also all the requirements also met eventually. Now that you've initiated the project, you know that you need to initiate the project. You also need to get your stakeholders on board. You won't work on this alone. All right. You need different team members across the organization and even external stakeholders as well to be a part of the project. Your customers would be involved. They'll be the ones using the kiosk. So you need to get their own buy-in. You need to get their own, you need to get some stories, user stories from them to identify what they would think about or what they think about the project eventually and what you want to do. Get the buy-in of everybody within the organization, all right? And how to communicate across the entire project. So you identify the relevant parties that will be involved within the project, okay? And that's where you have your stakeholders. You bring in all the stakeholders during the project initiation and also identify how you're going to engage these different stakeholders, all right? So who is going to be involved? You're going to involve the store management team, the IT teams, because you're deploying a system that would, require some level of automation and also integrate with the current infrastructure within the organization. So how do you do all of these things? You bring the team together, your cashiers, the IT team, the customers. You also get involved with the kiosk vendors. Do we have vendors that can provide this self-checkout kiosk for us? Okay. And how do you communicate with the different stakeholders? You identify how to communicate, the best platform to use eventually. All right. And some fantastic platforms to use to communicate with stakeholders includes Slack, Microsoft Teams to also have your meetings and get to engage, and even Zoom as well. We are currently on Zoom. So you could have your meetings to elicit information, to have different interviews with different stakeholders to understand their own specific requirements from that particular project. So once you've identified your stakeholders, you know how to engage them. You've identified that you'd communicate or have your meetings on Zoom or on Teams. How do you then gather requirements from them? Because remember, you are not the only person involved in this project. You've come up with a recommendation. This is what I think we should do based on extensive engagement with different stakeholders, right? So you need to also take their own inputs into execution for that project. And this is gathering requirements. Okay, so elicitation is a key skill of a business analyst. Knowing the type of questions to ask, open-ended questions to get the key requirements, needed to get this problem solved and solve it once. So you save costs and you also implement the right solution for the organization. All right. So requirement gathering is a fundamental skill for the business analyst. Okay, this is where you speak and elicit information, elicit details from the different stakeholders, understand what they need, gather their requirements, document those requirements, and create a business requirement document. And you can elicit information in different ways. You conduct interviews, you hold brainstorming sessions, you hold different workshops where you ask questions. You can have one-to-one sessions or even surveys. All right. And this is how you gather information from different stakeholders and what they think should be added as a requirement to solving and implementing the self-checkout kiosk. Some tools you can deploy, you can use Google Forms as a way to gather survey, as a survey instrument to gather data and to gather information and the requirements from your key stakeholders. Now, when you have your meetings as well on Zoom, on Slack, or even on Teams, you can use different transcription tools like Otter AI, Fireflies, that will help you transcribe the meetings in a Word document or in a text format for you to extract and create your business requirement document. Okay, because when you have those meetings, you'll be asking questions. And at the same time, you need to take down notes and ensure that you catch all the things they've said that are very important and very key. And tools like Otter AI, Fireflies can help you achieve that extensively. All right. So you've gathered the requirements, you know what we need to implement, you know what the self-checkout kiosk should look like. The cashier has said it must have multiple payment options so that people can make payments without the help of a staff within the store. All right. The IT team has said it must run on a particular type of operating system because we need to integrate it with our current infrastructure. So everybody comes up with the different requirements that needs to be implemented to ensure we have the right type of solution. Remember, as the business analyst, you are managing and coordinating all these processes. You are documenting the requirements so that by the time the solution is being built, you have the right requirements being implemented to ensure that the problem is solved at the end of the day. All right, so you have all these requirements, you've created a business requirement document, you have those requirements broken down into functional, non-functional, and so on and so forth. You then start the process of acquiring and building the self-checkout kiosk. And for projects that involve writing of codes, building of applications, building of software, designing software, and so on and so forth, you go through something we call the SDLC, the software development lifecycle. And this is a very key aspect of the business analyst role. So if you're involved in a project or involved on a project that involves automation, which involves building of an application or upgrading a software or migrating from a legacy system to a new system, you go through the software development lifecycle, which is a lifecycle for how the planning starts for that particular implementation. How do we plan? How do we analyze, design, implement, test, and maintain that particular application? And that's what the software development lifecycle is all about. As a business analyst, you'll be involved in so many of these projects. So you need to understand how the software development lifecycle works. What do I need to take into consideration? How do I analyze the functionalities of the kiosk system that would be eventually implementing? Ensuring that we incorporate user stories from the customers and so on and so forth. What will the system design look like? How are we going to test? Who will test? How do we deploy? And what will the maintenance look like? And this is the life cycle of building a software, the software development life cycle, which is also a very key aspect of the business analyst role. Okay, so now that we've known that when we install the kiosk, we have certain requirements we need to take into consideration to ensure that our existing infrastructure can match or meet the software or infrastructure of the software within the self-service kiosk. So we need to also, and that's why IT has to be involved on the project. You are not technical in that regard, and that's why when coming up with your stakeholder lists, you need to indicate the right type of stakeholders that will be involved in different aspects of the project. All right. And what tool can you use to track and ensure that when the project is being designed or when the software is being designed, you are tracking to ensure that the different requirements are met? You can also leverage Jira. And for version control, you can also use Git for your version control eventually, depending on your level of involvement on the project. Now, when the system is built, when you've designed and developed the system and you need to deploy, it's important that people are trained. People know how to use this system. You're not bringing in something and nobody knows how to use. There is no implementation, because remember that you as the business analyst is also a change enabler. So once this comes in, it's a new initiative. It's a new system within the organization. How would people start using it? How will customers know what to do? How will they know that there is even a self-service kiosk available? All right. So how do you enable that change within the organization? You need to implement signages. You need to train employees. You need to get involved the IT team as your technical support when you have issues. And even the vendors would also be on that team as well. When you have issues, how do we get this problem solved? What type of maintenance are we going to have eventually? All right. So you need to enable change by implementing a change management plan. Change management plan. All right. So you must have a change management plan where it's going to involve training of staff, training of employees within the organization. It would involve implementing so many things that would enable the change. Okay. You could have initiatives to say, oh, the first customer to hit 10 transactions using the self-service kiosk would get something. So when customers know that, look, there is something in need for me to use this system, this new system available, it gets them more aware and they start using that. And before you know it, everybody starts using the system. Okay, so as the business analyst, you're going to train employees. You train staff, ensure that the staff are well educated on using the system that you'll be implementing within the company. Also ensure that you have staff within the organization that would assist customers. And the customers who would use this system the most, scan their items, bag those items, make payments, they are also aware that this exists, all right? Through signages, demonstrations, and implementing different initiatives to ensure that they are well aware that this would happen, or this is even available within the company. Okay. So now, once you've implemented, there needs to be a feedback mechanism. And I'll just come back to explain the feedback in 2 minutes or less than 2 minutes. Just give me 20 seconds and I'll be right back. I need to get the door very quickly. Just 20 seconds and I'll be right back with you. So now that you've implemented, you've deployed, you need to also get feedback. There needs to be a feedback mechanism. Are people using this or not? If they are using it, how well are they using? Do we need to make some modifications and so on and so forth? Now, how do you measure? So you identify what you want to measure and then you start to implement. I need to catch my breath. I ran up and down the stairs, so somebody was downstairs knocking. I need to get the door very fast. Okay, so I ran up and down the stairs, so I need to catch my breath. I need to do more exercise, and so I improve on my cardio. All right. So once you've identified that there are issues with the system that you need to address, it then becomes easy for you to make the modifications. Right. Let's take, for example, number of transactions that happen on the platform. When you implemented in the first month, how many transactions took place on the system? Second month, did the number of transactions increase or did it decrease? The third month, how many transactions, how well have the customers adopted the system? You need to measure to know if there are errors with transactions, if customers face specific type of issues and so on and so forth, and to measure these different types of metrics to ensure that you are on board with the new system. Customers are on board. The staff also knows what to do. You need to understand how to use different analytic tools to help carry out your analysis. The data on transactions will be stored somewhere in a database. How do you access the database as a business analyst to extract the data to check the number of transactions that took place? All right. You'd also need to analyze the transactions that took place. When you have access to the database, how do you do your analysis? You need to know how to use tools like Excel, Power BI to do your analysis. So SQL now becomes important because you'll be interacting with databases. You'd also be carrying out analysis to identify what went up, what went down, how many times, how many customers, made use of the system and so on and so forth. So you also need to understand how to use Excel. and Microsoft Power BI to do your analysis and visualize what you have found with regards to the number of transactions, the number of customers, the different types of ways customers are paying, if they're paying using a particular type of card, and so on and so forth. And as a business analyst, end to end, you started out by identifying the problem that needs to be solved in the company, mapping out the process, identifying what currently exists and what we need to do to get us to the solution of where we have not just the traditional counters where customers have to queue. We also have the opportunity for customers to scan their items themselves and pay. But that would not implement itself. You would also have to manage and initiate the project to ensure that as an organization, we're able to achieve the self-checkout kiosk, optimizing our checkout process, removing all the queues and ensuring that the customers have a seamless experience. And as a business analyst, you'd be a key part of all the different stages of that process, from when the project starts to the different stakeholders that will be involved, gathering all the requirements required, all the requirements for that project across the different stakeholders, from the heads of departments to the cashiers, to the IT team, to the customers, and even the vendors that will be involved in deploying those different kiosks. And you go all the way to manage the process, implement, be a part of the change management process, to train people, get the vendors to initiate a change process as well, to ensure that people within the organization can use the system. Customers also know that the system exists, and if there are issues, there are errors, how do we address them? Up to the point of feedback, getting feedback from both the customers, the systems, knowing how well people are using the system, and using reporting tools, data management tools like SQL, Excel, and Power BI to help you achieve that. And of course, once this is achieved, what happens? The whole process is documented. All right. We've been able to achieve this. We've built this system. We now have our self-checkout kiosk. We've monitored, we've tracked the progress, we've gotten feedback. We know what to change, what to improve, what to modify. All the process is documented. And then there's a project debrief or a stakeholder debriefing, where you would then come, have a briefing session with the stakeholders, summarizing what you have been able to achieve. And it's also very critical that every time you execute a project, you measure using different KPIs. You must measure the performance, okay? For example, before you implemented the self-checkout kiosk, how many transactions were you recording on a typical day? All right, remember, customers were abandoning their carts. So let's assume that before implementation of the self-checkout kiosk, you were recording $50 million per month. All right. Now, after implementation of the self-checkout kiosk, where you don't have very long queues anymore, and customers can use the self-checkouts, go by themselves to scan their items and pay, it increased revenue to $200 million per week. Okay, so you need to measure number of transactions, measure the revenue, to ensure that what you have done and what you have implemented has an impact in the organization as well. All right. And in ensuring that you collaborate with your different stakeholders after the documentation, also ensuring that every member of the team knows what is going on and what is happening. You can use tools like Confluence to help you do that. All right. So looking at this project we just walked through very quickly, end to end, it gives you an idea of what a business analyst would do in an organization. Okay. So you are involved. If you remember the different characteristics we started with, you are that middleman. Okay. You sit with the different stakeholders in the business, understand what the business wants to achieve, and then you interface with the technology team to ensure that they're able to implement and design that eventual solution to take the business to where it wants to go. So how do you become a business analyst? That's the critical question. What do you need to learn? What are the skills and what are the different techniques you need to learn to become a business analyst? The very first thing you have to start with is the data analytics part of business analysis. And I always tell people this: business analysis is broken down in 3 key phases. All right. The first phase is data. All right, or data analytics. Okay. That's the first phase. The second phase is project management. Project management. And the last phase is the business analysis itself. So BA is broken down into 3 key phases. Now, the BA of today is very different from the BA of 5 years, 3 years ago. And what we've also done in-house at Tenalytics is to ensure that as a business analyst, you don't just have the skills to manage projects and to also do all the things, your process mapping, stakeholder engagement as a business analyst, but you also have the skills to analyze data, all right? Because sometimes organizations will not require that you have that skill because it's not really your business to do the data analysis using different data analytics tools. But what we've seen over the last few years, it's an increase in demand from different organizations for business analysts who also have the skills to analyze data. All right. So one of the first things you want to do as a business analyst is get the skills to manage, handle data, extract insights from data, and present those insights. So you need to learn Power BI, SQL, and Excel. So Excel, Power BI, and SQL for data analytics. Those are the first few skills you need to learn as a business analyst. And then you need to learn project initiation planning, agile essentials, and so on. How do I manage projects? How do I initiate projects? And so on and so forth. And of course, the software development lifecycle, very critical. You'll be involved in so many different, software initiatives, different software development projects, application building, application design, and how do you manage and ensure that you come up with a robust project at the end of the day? You need to understand the software development lifecycle, from how that software is planned, to how you analyze all the different requirements, to how you test and build, and eventually how you get to maintain that software at the end of the day. You also need to learn requirements fundamentals, requirements engineering, elicitation, stakeholder elicitation, requirement fundamentals, understanding different specifications and approval levels, and so on and so forth. How do you get the right type of information you need from people? How do you organize different workshops? How do you ask open-ended questions to elicit the right type of information from the key stakeholders within the business? You also need to leverage different project management methodologies, from Agile to Scrum to Waterfall, depending on the type of project you want to deploy. And of course, you also need to know how to manage, even analyze and list out stakeholders that will be involved in different areas that you'd have to manage. All right, analyzing the stakeholders, engaging the stakeholders, and even setting up performance measures to measure the business and ensure that you are achieving the right objectives at the end of the day. And one last thing you also have to do in the world of today, ensuring that you're also in line with the new trends and technologies, is ChatGPT for business analysis. ChatGPT is a fantastic large language model tool, or generative AI, that would help you simplify your work as a business analyst. All right. If you haven't used ChatGPT today, I mean, there's no better time to be in business analysis than today, because it simplifies the work for you and you get to learn how to leverage new tools, new trends, new technologies like ChatGPT to make your work more efficient and seamless. And of course, once you learn all these different skills, you become a master business analyst. So you need to have a good picture, a clear picture of how to start and what you need to learn. All right. And just to summarize, you have it here as well. The different skills you need to learn, from Excel to Power BI to SQL, your process mapping, project initiation planning, Agile and Scrum for projects, software development lifecycle, requirement fundamentals, elicitation, stakeholder analysis and engagement, and last but not the least, Chat GPT for business analysis. Now, as a business analyst, how long can it take you, or will it take you to learn all these skills and transition into a business analysis role? 3 months, 2 months project-based classes, and 1 month internship. 2 months project-based classes and 1 month internship. Now, the difference between a project-based class and the difference between the way you have been learning and the way you are used to learning is you learn in a class where somebody is delivering a lecture, and then you leave that class learning theoretical concepts and just understanding how to do things theoretically, or when you have to write an exam or even write a certification. But when you get the job as the business analyst, how do you implement all these things? How do you use Slack? How do you use SQL to interact with a database? How do you use Excel to analyze your data? How do you use draw.io to create a process map? All right. Now, this is where the project-based learning gives you that edge, because you are doing things by solving problems in class, and that's how you learn. And then you have 1 month for internship. The internship is where you put all the things you've learned in a real life work project. So in a real life scenario, similar to a real job you'd get when you hit the ground running on the very first day, how do you solve a problem as a business analyst? So you work on a project collaborating with different other team members to solve a key problem for a real company. All right. And that's what the internship does for you. So you solve problems that you can add to your portfolio and showcase to recruiters, showcase to potential employers, because everybody would want to see what you've done. And that's what they would ask you. Questions you'd find during interviews is, tell me a large project that you've been involved in that had to do with a process optimization initiative. Or tell me about a time where you have integrated or you have migrated from a legacy system to a new system, and how do you manage that project as a business analyst? All right. So you get questions like this. And how do you answer those questions? If you've actually not worked on projects, that'll give you the confidence to speak as a business analyst. And what's the average salary for the business analyst in the UK? It's about £52,000 per annum. In Canada, it's about 74,000 Canadian dollars. And in the US, it's about 85,000 US dollars. All right. And one of the things I'll show you when we are done with all the explanation is to go on LinkedIn and any other job sites, maybe about 2 to 3 job sites, depending on the time that we have, left, and would try to apply to some jobs. All right. Now, what I want us to focus on when we get to that phase is to look at the requirements of the job. Okay. And this is where you as an individual would then realize that you need to do your own research rather than listening to what people say. Now, people find excuses for their shortcomings and their inefficiencies. So you find somebody in Canada, for example, tell you that, look, you cannot get a job because you don't have Canadian experience. Now, the same person that tells you that you can't get a job because you don't have Canadian experience is working in the warehouse as a warehouse operative. So my question is, as a warehouse operative, how does that experience translate into a business analyst role? All right, it makes no sense. So for all the other people that have gotten jobs right from Nigeria, they didn't even have to travel to Canada, for example. How did they get jobs? Do you actually need certificates to get these jobs? Okay, now what's the best way to find out? To look at the requirements of the job descriptions, look at the requirements of the job vacancy. And that gives you a very clear picture of what is required to apply to these jobs and get the jobs. And that's what we keep on telling people, okay? just 2 days ago, somebody got a job as a business data analyst with an organization here in the UK. And while she was leaving Nigeria, she told me, oh, I'm about to leave. I want to join the training program with Analytics. And I think I would love to join the business analysis program. But Adeza tell me, do you think I'll get a job? I'm going for my master's. Do you think I'll be able to work as a student and so on? And I told her that, look, apply, go for your master's, join the program and learn the skills as a business analyst while you're also, doing your master's, and eventually it would pay off. Now she's completed her master's and she reached out to me about 2 months ago that she has an interview. Can we help her prepare for the interview? And of course, one of our senior data associates worked with her, prepared her for our interview. And just about 2 days ago, she reached out to me that she got the job. All right, this is somebody that has never worked in the UK, fresh into the UK, completed her master's, and she's gotten a job as a business data analyst. So I would look at those jobs available would look at 3 different locations, the UK, Canada, and the US. And let's see what the requirements are. Are they difficult for you to learn? Are they difficult for you to get and apply to those same jobs? Rather than working in the warehouse, working in care, where you really don't want to do the job, all right? But you have to do it because that's like an easy way out. You don't need to have any skill to work in care. You do training for a week, 2 weeks, and you get into the space, all right? So we are creating that awareness to let people know that, look, that's not the only job available. There's so many jobs where you can learn the skill, make the transition, and find yourself in a fantastic career path eventually. Take, for example, in the UK, and I would look at it together as well, like I said, business analysis is on the shortage occupation list. Okay, so there's something called the shortage occupation list. This list contains different job roles that are currently, you have shortages across different areas in the UK. So you currently don't have enough people to fill in those roles. And companies and organizations are looking for people to fill the roles. All right. And business analysis is one of them. In fact, when you're trying to transition from your student visa, for example, a tier 4 visa to a tier 2 visa, which is a skilled worker visa, you need 70 points to do that. All right. Now, getting a job as a business analyst alone, that your job title says business analyst, you get automatic 20 points. Why? Because business analysis is on the shortage occupation list. So whenever you get a job that is on the shortage occupation list, what happens? You get automatic 20 points. So the other 50 points it would be a breeze for you to get. Okay, English is 10 points, you get 30 points. If the salary is above £25,600, you get another 20 points. And if the organization offering the job has the license to sponsor, you get another 20 points. And at the end of the day, you get your 70 points easily. And then you can apply for a tier 2 skilled worker visa. So these are things that people have no clue and they have no idea. And they want to do that easy job where you're a banker in Nigeria, a branch manager, you come over to the UK and you start working in the warehouse or working in care because you really don't know there are other avenues available for you to upskill and then apply to get these jobs. Now, how will your classes run and how will you learn in class? Like I mentioned, for 3 months, 2 months project-based classes, 1 month internship. Now, depending on where you're joining from as well, you're joining from somewhere from Nigeria, from the UK, from somewhere across Europe with a similar time zone. You have your classes Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. All right, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you're in Nigeria, you're in the UK. So 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., good time, fantastic time for you to be in class, and then you get to learn. Now, if you're in Canada, you're in the Eastern region, Eastern time zone, where your 11 a.m. in the UK is around 5 a.m. in Canada or 4 a.m. in some places. That's it's crazy for you to have to wake up that early to have classes. So you join another class that happens later in the day, which would fit or suit into your own specific time zone. So for those in the US, for those in Canada, they join the later classes from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. All right, which is equivalent to around 11 a.m. Eastern time to 2 p.m. Eastern time. All right. And again, on Sundays as well, for those in the UK, for those in Nigeria, you have 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. your class on Sunday. And for those in Canada, for those in the US, you have another class, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. So you have a way to learn in a flexible, environment where you can choose when you want to join a class. All right. You could be in the UK, for example, and say, look, in the morning, I'm busy. I want to join classes later in the day. Is that possible? Absolutely, 100%. So you decide on when you'd like to learn, and we accommodate everybody because we have a flexible approach to the classes you have for business analysis, Saturdays and Sundays. All right. And we have a breakdown of all the things you would learn in the different major areas from your Power BI, Excel, you'd start with data manipulation, data cleansing, understand how to use Excel, VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP. How do you, create pivot tables to summarize your data, create pivot charts, create dashboards using Excel, and so on and so forth. Your Power BI, SQL, ChatGPT for analytics, and so on and so forth. So you have a breakdown, which of course, I'll give you the slides. You go through the slides in details. And at the end of your project, the end of your learning, you are working on 6 high-end projects. 6 high-end projects. What is the time in Nigeria based? What is the time? What does that mean? What is the time in Nigeria based, Florence? 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Sundays. Okay. Where does CBAP come in? Oluwatoyin, don't worry, I'll mention where CBAP comes in. All right. So now this is the curriculum, the breakdown, and you, like I said, you would have time to go through this once you receive the slide. Now, one of the major reasons why people also struggle to get jobs is because you have learned to become a business analyst and you only focus on jobs that says business analyst. All right. But business analysis itself cuts across so many areas. You have a diverse, nomenclature when it comes to the business analysis career path. You could get a job as a business data analyst. And you see this happen so many times. A lot of our participants currently work as business data analysts. At least 2 of them are on the slide here, and I'll show you. You can get a job as a business data analyst. And these are some of the things we'd also teach you when applying to jobs. Don't use just one single, keyword. Expand the keywords you'd use to apply. You can get a job as a continuous improvement analyst, as a change management analyst, as a business systems analyst, IT business analyst, business support analyst, business process analyst, operations analyst, and so many other different nomenclature within the business analysis space. So rather than focusing on one keyword and you apply to jobs, you don't see so many jobs and then you get scared. Oh, can I ever get a job in this career path? Or you see a job that says change management analyst and then I don't know anything about, I don't think this, I didn't learn change management, analysis. I learned business analysis. And then you get scared to apply. Or you look at a business data analyst role and then you feel that I don't think this is for me. I think it's for the data analyst, and you don't go ahead and apply. So these are some of the things we, try to clear during the Navigating the Job Market session, where we show you how to apply to jobs and what you need to consider when applying to jobs. And apart from this, major areas or major reasons why people don't get jobs again includes the lack of required skill. Okay, and I'll tell you what required skill means. Just like Oluwatoyin said, a lot of people feel if I go write an exam, if I go write the CBAP exam, then I can get a job as a business analyst. That is the wrongest thing you can ever believe in. Okay, and I'll tell you the reason why and why having the certificate is totally different from having the skills. In the major economies, in the UK, in Canada, across the US, nobody cares if you have a certificate. Nobody cares about your degree. If you have an undergraduate, you have a master's. Some roles would come with, undergraduate. You'd see that there, you need to have a degree. But if you have a master's, you have a PhD. Nobody really cares about that. Do you have the skills to get the job done? Okay, so you see a lot of people banding certificates here and there, but they cannot do the job. They have no idea on how to build dashboards using Excel. They don't know how to use draw.io for process mapping. They don't know how to track projects using different project management tools. All right. So the skills, they lack the skills, the required skills to work as a business analyst. And that's where they fall short. All right. The second key aspect is there is no proof. No proof of work. There is nowhere you can go to and see that this person has actually done stuff with regards to business analysis, either showing something on LinkedIn or talking about something across, different fora and so on and so forth. Nothing, no proof, no portfolio to show your work in Excel, Power BI, and SQL. So how can I tell that you can use, SQL? How can I tell you can write queries or do anything with a database? So you need to showcase the projects you've worked on. You need to have a portfolio, all right? And that's your social proof. So that's another reason why people struggle to get jobs. And lastly, no experience, no interviewing skills. Over the last 3 weeks, we focused, during our mentorship sessions, we focused on interviewing skills. All right, so we had a mock interview session where we had about 300 people on the call. And the week before, we created a fictitious, job role for different job roles, data analyst roles, business analyst, data scientist, and then people applied to those jobs. And during the mock interview session, myself, the co-founder of 10Analytics, we asked them questions and listened to their feedback. And the other 300 plus people on the call also listen to the feedback and listen to their response rather. And then we give them feedback at the end of the day, what they did right, what they did wrongly, and so on and so forth. And what you get to find out most of the time is people lack interviewing skills. Questions as simple as, tell me about yourself, is a hassle. All right. However, there is an approach, a structured approach to answering these questions. And when you're asked competency-based questions, what approach do you use to give a constructive answer at the end of the day? So you find people who perhaps they have the skills, but they can't sell themselves during interviews. And that's a key challenge on why a lot of people struggle to get jobs. We've seen this happen too many times. So again, it is apparent that you also realize that when you're trying to get a job, your technical skill would not get you there. You need to have the technical skill. That's 50%. All right. And you need to have employability skills. That's the other 50%. Okay, you need to have employability skills. That's the other 50%. No matter how good you are, if you can't communicate, you can't sell yourself, you won't get a job. Introduce yourself. Tell me about yourself. Let's get to meet you. Oh, my name is Adeza. I'm a Nigerian. I was born in the year this. I'm the first child of my family. You start talking about things that are irrelevant to the role itself. So how do you leverage techniques like the seat approach? Okay, where you introduce yourself using a technique called the seat approach. You start with your skills, your experience, your achievements, and then your type of person. Okay, so what skills do you have? How many years of experience? What sectors have you worked in? What's the key achievements while working in these sectors? And what's your type of person, which would always be tailored to the core values of the organization. So if the organization has a core value like, let's say, integrity or punctuality, When you're talking about who you are as the type of person, you must include integrity and punctuality in your introduction, so they get a feel of the connection you have to the organization, and that makes things a lot easier. So getting a job is far beyond just your technical skill. And I'll talk a little bit about the employability skills, because that's one of the key reasons people don't get jobs across the different economies. And that's where we at Analytics then comes into play. So Oluwatoyin that asked the question, where does CBAP comes in? One of the things we've done is to take the CBAP curriculum that's based for those in the North American region, Canada, most especially the US, and the BCS, which is for those in the UK. We took the two curriculums and came up with a comprehensive, up-to-date curriculum that we use to train. Now, the major difference between what you would learn at Analytics and the exams you would write is practical and theoretical. So writing an exam is 100% theoretical. You only need to read. You need to pass that exam, but you would not get the skills to get the job done. And the key question you should be asking yourself is, do I need the certificate to get the job? And that's a big no. To get a job as a business analyst, and this is one of the misconceptions that we're going to debunk today, you don't need a certification to get a job as a business analyst. All right. What I always advise people to do is this, very simple. Okay. Get the job first and think about certifications after. Get the job first and think about certifications after. All right. But people get the certificate and then they struggle to get the job because the skill required is beyond just the paper. It would work for you if you're in Nigeria. If you're somewhere in Nigeria, you're in West Africa, because Africans are very big on certificates. But you come to the UK, you go for an interview, somebody else goes for that interview. You're asked questions on how you've done this, how you've done that. And all you can show for your experience as a business analyst is a piece of paper. And the other person can give good projects, fantastic projects on how they've done this, the type of projects they've worked on, how they built this using Excel, Power BI, how they've been able to initiate different projects, complete those projects. That person gets the job. Okay, and that's the way it works. And that's how you can position yourself for success. All right. So we took the BCS curriculum, we took the IIBA curriculum, and then we came up with a curriculum that is all encompassing across the major economies. You also have the opportunity to work with professionals across different industries, and you get to see some of the professionals that you'll be learning with, that will be training you, to become a business analyst during the training itself. You have a blended learning approach, not just learning in class, but also getting to work on projects, getting to work with different group team members, and also having the opportunity to communicate what you have created. So every single week, you have presentations. All right, you solve a problem, you solve a project, and you come up to present your findings. And this gives you the skill. You start to know how to communicate and tell these stories when you get into interviews. And the additional employability services I talked about, which I would elaborate in the next slide. And of course, you also get to do an internship. The beauty of the internship, like I said, is it gives you that opportunity to live and experience a real life work environment. Okay, so what will a real life project look like as a business analyst? You start to work on that with different other team members. You collaborate, you have meetings, you agree on what to do, the right type of approach to take, and then you solve those problems. And at the end of the day, you call yourself a master business analyst, not just a business analyst with the theoretical knowledge, but the business analyst with the skills to solve problems. On the very first day you get a job as a business analyst. Now, why is the employability skills so important? I talked about that earlier. Why is it so important? It's so important because this is the reason why people don't get jobs. And this is also the only reason why we have been able to help over 1,000 people over 1,000 people get jobs across different regions. The employability skills. This is what we stand for, because it's a given that you would learn all the technical skill. If you join the training, you would learn Excel, you would learn Power BI, you would learn SQL, you would learn requirements, fundamentals, you would learn project initiation, you would learn all the other beautiful things that will give you the technical skill and all the tools that you need to know how to use, from Microsoft Visio to Draw.io to Trello and so on and so forth. But now you need to present yourself in the best form on paper, and that's your CV, your representation in paper format. I remember asking somebody who told me that, look, I haven't gotten a job, I cannot get a job. And I told him that he's been in the UK for quite a while now. And I said, look, send me your CV. And his CV was 4 pages, all right? And he has just about 5 years experience. Just has about 5 years professional experience post undergraduate, post his undergraduate degree. I have been a professional for over a decade, and my CV is not up to 3 pages. My CV is just 2 pages, but he had 4 pages with so many irrelevancies. All right. So your CV is that number one thing that you need to put in place, because recruiters, your potential employers, would not have the time to read your CV word for word. What they want to see, they have something called the ATS, an applicant tracking system, that would first of all look at the keywords in your CV and match it to the keywords on the job requirements or the job description. By how much do you match this particular job? Oh, you match it by 45%. Immediately, your CV is yanked off, the pool for consideration, and you get, and unfortunately, we're not going to, move on with you to the next stage. So how do you put your CV in the right format? That's a critical part that we need to take note of. So what we do for you is, we don't just, if you don't have a CV, we work with you to create a CV using fantastic CV templates for business analysts. All right. If you have a CV, we help you review your CV and show you how to tailor your CV to job descriptions. So if you're that person that uses one CV to apply to 100 jobs and expect to get positive outcomes, that would never happen. One CV for one job. All right. So how do you tailor your CV to jobs? Leveraging and using tools like Job Analytics, JobScan, ChatGPT. And ChatGPT, like I said, by the time you start using ChatGPT at Analytics, you'd thank your stars, and you'd also be so shocked at how amazing ChatGPT can be within the business analyst space. Now, after you move from the CV, your LinkedIn is the other critical part that you need to also take note of. And I'll give you a very quick story of a lady. Her name is Sonia. Sonia got a job as a HR analyst here in the UK recently, and she had applied to that job. She had gotten to the final level of the interviewing, the final level of, interview. And she was the hiring manager. The day before she got the mail that told her that she wasn't going to qualify to get the job, she saw that the hiring manager had checked her LinkedIn profile. And she was wondering, why did this, guy check my LinkedIn profile? And then the following day, she received a rejection email that they were not going to give her an offer, and they've gone ahead with somebody else. Now, what Sonia realized eventually was she did not have anything HR analytics on her LinkedIn, which is what, something we always preach against that, but she went against it, did not do that, and it backfired. She lost that job. Because what we always tell people is this: the moment you join Analytics, you change your LinkedIn profile, all right? You'd have, if you join business analysis, you'd have business analysts with Analytics. So she went back and changed, included Analytics on her LinkedIn profile, HR analytics professional with Analytics. And guess what? Another role in that same organization was open. And then they told her that she could come. It was a different hiring manager this time around, and she got the job. They reached out to her. Are you still available? Are you interested in taking the job? And she said, yes, she's interested. And eventually she starting her job as a HR analyst with that organization today. And what did she do? What made the difference? Changing her title. She had nothing that said she had done HR analytics in the past. And you are looking for a job as a HR analyst in different organizations. These recruiters will check you out. They'll check your CV, they'll check your LinkedIn profile, and check so many other platforms to know who exactly you are. Are you who you say you are? Can you do all the things you have on your CV? I want to see if your LinkedIn matches your CV. And just before we go on, I'm just quickly going to show you Sonia's profile, because this is very instructive. When she mentioned it to me, I said, look, I'm going to use this as a story so that people also know that they need to take these things seriously. So I'm going to share my screen and I'll show you Sonia's profile, okay? And like I said, initially, Sonia did not have the HR. So I searched for her today. So you can see this Sonia 10 Analytics. And that was how I found her. So that's Sonia. All right. So if you look at Sonia's profile, when she applied the first time, when she did not get the job, she did not have this on her LinkedIn profile. There was nothing like this on her LinkedIn profile. Okay. So after she realized that, look, this guy, the hiring manager, checked my LinkedIn the day before I got a rejection. I think I need to do something. So she came back and added the HR analyst with 10 Analytics. You can see that part-time from October 2022 to March 2023, UK remote, and the skills she learned, she included that. And she was eventually called back and she got the job. Today, she's going to be starting in November as a HR analyst with that organization. So it's very important that we take things like this into consideration during the job search process. Because the reason why people get jobs, the reason why they don't get jobs can just be a very little, mistake you made without knowing that you made a mistake somewhere. So LinkedIn is very critical for us. You must have an optimized LinkedIn profile. And of course, Upwork. If you don't have an Upwork profile, we create one for you. If you have one already, we help you optimize so you can get jobs and get to work remotely, work as a freelancer across different projects for different organizations, and then navigating the job market. This is where we show you how to approach the job search, how to approach applying to jobs, depending on your location. All right. What we are going to be doing next week during the Navigating the Job Market session is how to negotiate salaries. We did a bit of it yesterday on Thursday evening. We'll do the next one next week, Thursday, where we'll not just be looking at how to negotiate salaries. How do you find the industry average or the median salary and use that as a bargaining chip when negotiating your salaries? When you get asked the question, what's your salary expectation? Some people rush to say, oh, £45,000 or oh, $80,000, but then you don't know, you're shooting yourself on the foot. So how do you answer questions like that? All right. So recommendation and reference letters is something we also, provide for you. For those, some of you going for your master's, your PhD, you need a recommendation to say that you have experience doing this. You've worked with us before, and then you can go ahead and do that. And for organizations who would give you a job, they would want to know that you are associated with a reputable organization. So who knows you, who can vouch for your character, all right? So they reach out to us via email, they send a link to a form and they request and ask us to fill forms for people. Tell us about their character. Do they have disciplinary issues? How many times were they absent from work, and so on and so forth. So they ask these questions to get to know you as the individual and if they can hire you without any reservations. And of course, how else do you prepare for interviews? You have an interview coming up and you don't know the type of questions you're likely going to be asked. And I told you that within the last 3 weeks, what we have focused on is on interviewing skills. All right. How do you introduce yourself? We had mock interview sessions, and then the outcome of that mock session designed the next phase, which is where people made mistakes. How do you cover for those mistakes? how do you preempt the questions you're likely going to get during interviews, and how do you address those questions? Some are simple as introduce yourself, and a lot of people fumble. All right. Weekly mentorship sessions every Thursday evening, where you have industry experts that would come to work with you and show you how to navigate and make your transition into the tech ecosystem. And of course, on the job support. This is where you've gotten the job. You need somebody to help you, have a soft landing. All right. You just need that comfort to say that if I find myself in a challenging situation, I can reach out to somebody to provide guidance and advice for me to take. All right. So we provide that for you. We stand with you to ensure that once you have a solid footing on that job, you can then, run and fly from there without any issues. So this alone, this page, if you take a screenshot of this, this is all you need to get a job. The technical bit is just 50%. And I always say this, anybody can learn the technical bit anywhere. All right. But this, you can't learn it anywhere. All right. You need to have it. You need to be a part of this to get a job in any career path, especially a career path that is skill-based. All right. Where your skill would be assessed. You'd be asked competency-based questions, and you need to know how to use the STAR technique to answer those questions. All right. The situation, the task, the action you took, and then the results. You need to know how to use these different techniques to answer questions. And what are the type of questions you're going to be asked as a business analyst? Okay. And I'll show you some of the people that have gotten jobs after joining our program, and they are doing absolutely well today. Yesterday, we had an alumni experience sharing session. I don't know if some of you here attended that session, but it was mind-blowing what people were able to do within the space. All right. So let's move on very quickly. Now, you'd work with fantastic professionals from myself. You'd see me every week during your mentorship sessions, helping you make that transition. All right. You need somebody to tell you that, look, this is the way you'd find things within the space, the tech ecosystem. Oh, I'm in this country, I'm getting rejections. You need somebody to tell you that, look, rejection is a part of the game. I think that was last week. Somebody told me that I got to the final stage of an interview and then they ghosted me. I did not receive any email. I didn't get any feedback. I was ghosted. And I told him that, how many times have you been ghosted? And he said twice. And I told him that, look, you've been ghosted so many times. Twice is that's child's play. You would get so many more ghostings. All right. But what do you do when you're ghosted? You need to ask for feedback. You need to send an email. You need to call that number that was calling you during the interview, the interviewing process. Find out why you have not been selected, so that if you are lucky enough to get a feedback from them, you can then prepare and close the gaps for subsequent interviews. Interviewing itself is experience. You build experience during interviews, where you get very confident going into an interview and selling yourself. You'd also get to work with Efemena, the co-founder of Tenalytics, fantastic professional who would also show you and help you navigate your way. Now, when it comes to the business analysis, technical bits of things, you'd get to work with Linda. Linda is a business analyst with over 10 years experience in aviation, oil and gas, consulting, and banking and fintech. Linda has worked in so many organizations and has implemented so many projects across different organizations. She has extensive skills in requirement analysis, process flow documentation, and also has skills as a data analyst as well. She can use SQL, Power BI, and so many, different technologies, and should be the one working with you technically as a business analyst to help you transition. And we also have Sheung. So your two key facilitators, your two key trainers, you have Linda, and then you have Sheung. Sheung is a product reliability engineer with Visa. Now, I want to ask this question for the people on the call. When you see a job title product reliability engineer. Does this have anything to do with business analysis? If you see this, let's assume you haven't seen this here on the 10 Analytics Masterclass. Would you ever think that this job title is a business analyst role? Would you? Yemi says no. Yemi says no. Even me, the first time I saw it, I had to look at it twice. Oh, Sheun, because of course Sheun moved. He used to work with MTN in Nigeria. He came to the UK. He used to work as a business analyst with MTN in Nigeria. Then he came to the UK and then completed his master's, got a job with Visa as a product reliability engineer. It has, you'd never imagine that it's a business analyst role, but of course it is. And Shane works with Visa, and he's part of the people that would also show you, look, business analysis is far beyond just the business analyst title. There are so many other different areas you can get to work in, just like Shane, who currently works with Visa here in the UK. Shane would work with you to ensure that you're able to make that transition. And for those of you in the UK struggling to get jobs, having interviews, how do you prepare for interviews? What are the things you need to put into consideration? Shane is your go-to person that'll be working with you to make the transition. You also have Nena. Nena would come in from time to time to also help you, walk you through so many other different aspects with business analysis. Nena has over 7 years experience working in IT projects and product delivery. You'd get to work with Olabisi. Olabisi works with Access Bank in Nigeria as a business analyst as well. Olabisi is a fantastic professional with vast experience as a business analyst, astute professional. You'd also work with Francis. Francis is a business analyst with Alvarez and Masal. Francis is that fantastic Nigerian with a British accent. We always make fun of Francis. Francis is a professional, fantastic technical business analyst, and also an IT business analyst. He has experience cutting across the different areas. So these are your trainers. These are people that didn't just learn anywhere or wrote certifications. They are people that are doing the job. They've worked across different organizations, and they're also doing the job today as business analysts. And they're the ones that will help you transition, all right? From Efemena to myself, to Sheun, to Linda, Nene would work with you in different other areas, Nena as well, Francis, most especially. Olugbemi, who is a business data analyst in Canada, would work with you in your Power BI. And you'd also have the data analytics facilitator to also work with you in your Power BI, Excel, and SQL, which is Olugbemi Akaribo. Now, the next cohort starts on the 4th of November. For those of you that have attended our previous masterclasses, by now you know that our next cohort, which is the last cohort for the year. Okay, so we've had different classes start from January up until November, which would be the last cohort for the year. No session would hold in December. And the next one after November would be January 2024. Okay, so you want to make that transition and make the switch into business analysis. This is the best place to start. You start your journey in November, December, and then January, you're done with your training. You start your internship. By February, you're done with the training and internship. And then you start looking to get jobs as a business analyst. Now, I want you to listen to two people. Okay, Ramat was on the call yesterday. Was there anybody that joined the alumni experience sharing session? If you joined yesterday, just type in yes into the chat. If you joined yesterday, type in yes into the chat. If you joined the alumni experience sharing, where we had people who had gotten jobs across different regions, they came on to the call where you had opportunities to ask them questions. Okay, Yemi was there. Ufoma was there, Shafi was there, fantastic. Okay, so I'm sure you saw Ramat. So this is Ramat. Ramat joined our program in April 2023. In fact, let me tell you something interesting about the April cohort. At the beginning of the year, because women are largely underrepresented in the tech ecosystem, You have just 25% of the roles currently available in tech occupied by women, just 25%. So our way of ensuring that we bring more women into tech, we initiated a scholarship program in the month of March to commemorate the International Women's Month. Okay? Ramat was a beneficiary of that scholarship. So it was a 50% scholarship. She was a beneficiary. She joined in the month of, she paid in the month of March, but started in April. Okay, so she paid in March, deferred her program, till April, started in April, and Ramat got a job 3 months after training with us as a business analyst with the NHS in the UK, full visa sponsorship. All right, and she was on the call yesterday to, sing the Tenalytics praises, and of course also mention how she was able to navigate. All right, we're going to listen to Ramat. I also have Ramat on my slide with the link to the video where she talked about how she navigated her journey. And of course, Temi is a lawyer. He's a lawyer turned business analyst as well. And a lot of people ask questions around, can I transition? I've always done, I've always been a medical doctor. I've always been in a particular career. Can I transition into business analysis? And I always tell them, absolutely. Okay. So I'm going to listen to Ramat. We're also going to listen to Temi, and you get to hear what they have to say. Ayo is saying, please, is breast cancer? No, that's it's a one-off scholarship that we had to implement this year to ensure that we get more people into tech, and which was obviously very, very successful. Ramat getting a job, even Ikmat also got a job as a data analyst with the NHS, was also a beneficiary of that scholarship as well. So you'd see so many ladies in our slides who got jobs. Most of them came in during that period, and it's been a fantastic, fantastic journey for them. So let's get to listen to these, professionals, and then we'll go to LinkedIn, and I'll show you how to look for jobs, how to check for the requirements to ensure that I meet the requirements. And like I always tell people when they say that, oh, is there an age limit? Is there a particular, is there a particular requirement I have to meet? Do I need a certification to get the job? All I do is look, go online, open your browser, go on LinkedIn, go on read.co.uk, go on Glassdoor, Total Jobs, ZipRecruiter, search for business analyst roles, and yourself look through the job requirements, and you will tell what these organizations are looking for. That's the best place to check. Not hearsay, what people said. People that went into the interviews and messed up and couldn't get jobs, and they tell you that, oh, I didn't get the job because I'm Black, I'm an African. And they said they're not going to give me the job because I'm African. And they come back and say, oh, I don't have UK experience, and that's why I couldn't get the job. Ramat was out of work for 4 years because she had to take care of her kids. She had babies. She had to take care of her babies. She was out of work for 4 years, and she decided to reintegrate back into the work space and joined our program, Data Analytics, completed, and she got a job with the NHS, full visa sponsorship, no experience whatsoever in the UK, all right? So you have to be careful who you listen to and what you believe. But let's listen to Temi very quickly, and then we'll listen to Ramat, and we'll go on LinkedIn. I'll show you how to apply to jobs, and then we'll call it a day. I think I've been very good with time so far. Let's quickly, let's see what Temi has to say. I'm going to click on Temi's link. And like I said, you'd have the slides. All right, so I'm just going to reshare and ensure that you can hear my audio. Okay, just give me 1 second to do that. All right, so that's Temi. I'm going to play the audio, and please, I'll play and pause. So you tell me if you can hear the audio clearly, and then I'll continue playing.
Hello everyone, I hope you are good. My name is Timmy Vaughn. I am a lawyer.
Okay, just type in yes if you could hear Timmy. Just type in yes if you could hear Timmy. Okay, fantastic. All right, so I'll rewind and let's play it again and let's listen to Timmy. We also have people on the call that have currently joined the program, okay? And then they would also want to share one or two stories with you. So let's quickly listen to Timmy.
Hello everyone, I hope you are good. My name is Timmy Vaughn. I am a lawyer, and thanks to 10 Analytics, I am now a business analyst. Now, I'm not doing this video because it is compulsory to do it, but because my journey with 10 Analytics has been life transforming, and I want to share that with you. I remember I first of all encountered 10 Analytics on Instagram, and I joined their free Zoom session, and that session was very convincing. Even the information they shared during the session was very, very useful. I didn't join the first time, right? But the second session that I had with them, I was convinced and decided to join. And from the registration point to the welcome package and everything, they were very, very warm and welcoming. Every time I had issues, I could walk up, message any of the staff, and they solved it with no hassle at all. Even during the sessions, the facilitators were very, very patient people. I've never seen a group of people who were that patient. We're about 20 something in class, and they ensured that every single person was carried along. You had questions, taking them back, they would always answer it with patience. The whole session was mind-blowing, and this is the honest truth. Now, we're in an era where some certain skills are really required. Skills like business analysis, data engineering. And so my advocacy to you is whatever you are doing, you need one or two of these skills. Now, if you want to learn these skills, I don't think there's any other place you can learn it other than 10 Analytics. Now, these are some of the reasons why. One, apart from the fact that the organization will take you through the rudiments, they will equip you with the skills needed to succeed in whatever course that you're taking. Another thing is that they help you to navigate through the tech world, especially if you've never been in the tech space before. They take you through how to write your CV properly, how to make sure that your LinkedIn is updated. Also, another interesting thing is that apart from the sessions on teaching you the skills and taking you through the course, they have various sessions, mentoring session, what to expect when you go for an interview. In fact, if you have an interview, right, maybe you've applied for a job and you have an interview, you can actually send the organization an email or a message and ask them to do trial interview for you. And most of them, they are experts. Like, they've been in this thing doing it for years, so they know the questions that you'll be asked. So they help you, literally taking your hand and helping you through it till you are able to succeed. And the good thing about this, again, they have an alumni group. So even when you are stuck, maybe you're already working and you are stuck, you can always message any of your facilitators to say, how can I go through this? So it's not just an organization that is concerned about your money. They are really concerned about you succeeding in whatever it is that you do. Just because I have taken this course, right, apart from applying for jobs and all of that, everything I do now, I make sure that it is data driven, right? Even in the organization that I run personally, I run a social enterprise, I make sure that I now have the skills to, when I'm asking a question using Google form, I'm able to elicit information, data, and analyze the data to make informed decisions. So my mindset has really been transformed. Apart from the skills that I have, everything I'm doing, I'm making sure that it is data driven so that I can make informed decisions. Honestly speaking, if you really want to advance, right, I think that one of the places you should be is really 10 Analytics, because they just don't teach you the course that you've registered for, but they take your hand and ensure that you succeed. Have a great life.
Hey, so that's Timmy. I'm sure you got to listen to Timmy. Timmy, like I said, is a fantastic, fantastic gentleman. He's a lawyer, and we always find this very interesting. And that's why when we see people that say that, oh, I'm a baker, I'm a farmer, I'm an accountant, we're always very excited to work with you. And that's simply because your transition is always more interesting than that person who has always been maybe has worked as a data analyst, but then wants to transition to data engineering. So it's a whole lot more interesting. All right. So Ubong, please confirm who we have on the call, and then let's get to listen to them before we move on to LinkedIn. Okay. So who do we have on the call, Ubong?
All right, we have Aziz. Aziz is on the call.
Okay. So like I mentioned earlier, guys, we have some people that started the training, okay? And I'm sure you'd want to hear from them, and ask them questions as well. So Aziz is here. Aziz, if you can put on your video so I can spotlight you, let people get to see you. Brilliant. So let's
Hello.
get to see.
Hello.
Hi,
Can you hear
Aziz.
me,
How are
sir?
you doing? Oh,
I'm fine.
absolutely. How are you
I'm
doing today,
fine. And
Aziz?
you? Yes, I'm fine. And you?
Great, great. Where are you joining us from?
From Turkey.
From Turkey. Fantastic. All right. So
Yes.
Aziz, we just want you very quickly. Okay, you have people here that are trying to transition and move into business analysis. So give them your experience joining.
Uh,
When did you join the BA program, Aziz?
this month, October.
October. Okay, you joined the October cohort. All right. So give
Yes.
them your experience. How has it been? And encouraging anybody else that would like to join.
Okay. Can I share some slides because I made some?
Made some slides. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
All right. Thank you. Can you see? Can you see my slide?
Oh, yes, I can. Fantastic. All right, quickly walk us through this.
All right. Good day, everyone. My name is Aziz Oshidero. I'm new to Tenalytics. I just want to tell you a story how Tenalytics make me stupid in the issue of tech. Because normally I thought I know everything when it comes to computer systems and stuff, even Excel. But just 1 week in Tenalytics, I know that I know nothing. I know nothing. So if you are here and you think you can operate Excel, you don't need to come here. You just need just 1 week in Tenalytics. You know nothing. All right. I'm going to start with telling you about my coordinator, which Mr. Ubon, I say thank you, and my facilitator, Mr. Isosa. Thank you so much for this opportunity. So I'm going to start with this, my journey. I'm just going to be quick about it. So please, I want you to follow me as I move on. My brief experience, I'm going to talk about my experience and why I joined Analytics and my easy registration process and plan, which I may not talk in details, and he has already talked about it. Mr. Asus has already talked about it. Mr. Adiza, sorry. And the learning process, Mr. Adiza has already talked about that. And also the key, and I'm going to give you a practical of one of the cases we solve. So I'm going to give you a practical, which I'm going to be fast about that. And also a practical insight of British Airways that we solved in the class within just 2 weeks that I joined, and the recommendation I give and my summary. All right, let's move on to, here is the reason why I joined Analytics. I went to an interview here in Turkey 3 months ago, and I was told that, can I work on Excel and some other things? I said, yes, I can. So they said, okay, no problem. Then they showed me something and they said, can you work on this? I said, I told you I can only work on Excel. They said, this is Excel. I said, how is that possible? I don't really understand. So when I joined, when I now saw, I saw Ola in from Canada on Instagram talking about analytics. Then I was like, this is what I saw on that day in the interview. Then I follow up. Then I see that this is analytics, what can do. That's why I joined analytics. And for now, if I have opportunity to go for that same interview again, in fact, they have to pay me double because it's now easy. The analytics have make it so easy for me now. So right now, I'm going to talk about the strategy, which he has already talked about. They make advertisements in so many ways, and the registration is very easy, and the payment, they have payment scheme whereby you can even pay instrumentally if you wanted to pay, which I even did myself to see. And then also they have the registration. Their registration is very easy, and immediately they even give you somebody to guide you through. Then also the learning process is very good. Mr. Ubon is my coordinator, like I said before. I don't even know if he has anything to do in his life, because if you message him anytime, within 2 minutes, seconds, he's there with you to solve your problem. So sometimes I always think, did they even have anything else to do? Then I want to give it up to Mr. Isos also. Thank you so much for the learning, because he always makes sure that every question in the class was being attended to. All right. So my first week, what it did to us is that my first week we have been taking on Excel, while my second week we have been taking on Power BI. Firstly, I've never used Power BI before. This is my first time. And the first week, Excel was fantastic. And my second week was Power BI was. So I'm going to take Power BI as one of the case study of something that we solve in the class. So now, this is the case study we have in the class. There's a problem with the British Airways. Now, what is the problem? You can go to this side where they say problem. Now, what is the problem they are having? They are having low booking rates and there are poor reviews of them. So immediately they have to call on me and say, please, as a data analyst, can you help us to do some insights? What is happening to us? People are not booking us anymore. What is going on? Then we have to solve these three problems, which is to understand the factor influencing the business, then to improve the customer satisfaction, then to improve the rational rate, that the rate people are booking. So I decided to use Power BI, being the highest in the industry of business analytics tools. So after that, so this is how our dashboard look like. After I finish everything, this is how it look like. And this dashboard you are seeing here, this Power BI, and this solve my problems. All the problems that they're having in the industry is solved. So once they ask me anything, I told them, go and do this. So immediately we do this, I believe in the real life, after this, they are going to have no problem at all. And how did I solve the problem?
Aziz, when did you join again?
I joined 2 weeks time, this month.
This month. So just roughly about 2 weeks and some days. And you've been able to build this using Power BI.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Go ahead, Aziz. Just wanted to establish
All right.
that.
So this is what now this has been able to solve. I've been able to solve this problem. Now, when you are giving this type of thing, you are not going to be giving. You are going to be giving a raw data like this, just the raw data. This is what they are going to give you. When you get to the company, they will just tell you these are the surveys we have and these are the data we have. So we are not the one that will now convert the data. So when we now convert the data, we'll now think about what are the variables. The variable number one, which I'm going to touch very quickly. Variable number one is that how many valid the document they give us, which is this one I showed you, this document they give us, how many of these things are valid so that we will know that the problem we want to solve is coming from something. So now we now find out with this now, because I get to use some things I don't want to go into now, because I know immediately you join Tenalytics, don't worry about that. You'll be able to do that. But be able to know the percentage of the people that are valid. So from this record now, we now find out that only 51 of those things they gave us, 51% is valid. So we now recommend that a critical questionnaire should be done, because we cannot base the effort, we cannot base the achievement of our results based on 51% of what we receive. So we recommend that they make a critical questionnaire that can solve those problems. That is our recommendation. And the next one is about the another variable is that I want to know the average star rating. What are the people giving them? Okay, after the flight, are they even giving us thumbs up and say, these people are trying, these people are trying? But at the end of the day, we get to know that only 17% of people are saying that we tried, and nobody has has given us 7%, 9 star rating. We have been getting 3%. They have been 3-star rating much, which is not good for the business. So we advise that there are some things that need to be done into customer satisfaction. And another one is that we also talk about the region, as we want to know the countries they are flying to. We want to know, is there a problem? Maybe a particular country is not happy. That is another variable. Another variable here is that I want to know what is the highest route. Maybe they are going to a particular place too much than another place. Maybe for example, let me use Nigeria. If you want to fly out of Nigeria and you are in Abeokuta, there is no flight, there is no airport in Abeokuta. You have to travel to Lagos before you can fly. So in that case, if this thing is affecting, maybe there's a need for another plane, another airport to be built in Abeokuta. So that is what we look at here. And we look another note on the willingness. Our customers, are they willing to book these airways? Then we find out that from our analysis, it is no. You can see no here with this color gray, and you can see the green is much. So we can now see that no. So we need to improve the seat the check-in, and the allocation, even the entertainment aspect they are giving to the customers. In order not to waste much of your time, I would want to show you a bit of what Power BI environment look like. This is Power BI environment, just a bit. Now, when you go to, this is what I did by myself. When you go to, maybe you want to find a record in 2000 and maybe, because this record is 9 years. Let's say you want to find in 2017, in the month of July, and then in the country of China, what happens? These are the things that happen there. You will now see, okay, these are the things that happen. So definitely we only have 2 recommendations in China, then we are lacking behind. Something needs to be done. The travelers there, they are only couples. Why only couples? Why not family? Why not singles? Why not business class? You understand? Then we now see that people are no. They said no, too much of no in the business class, in the economic class. So something is wrong with the seat. So we'll be able to know the insights. You have to know the insight of this. So apart from that, you all these things, you can even go to any different months to get to know. Because of this Power BI now, I'll be able to know the insight of all the companies. Now let's continue. Now, my recommendation so far to the case I've been given is that the British Airways need to create a professional and a moral questionnaires, like we said before, that will be able to solve the this issue so that I know the problems they are facing. And number 2 is that I recommend the staff training. I recommend the staff training between the customers so that they know how to treat their customers' relationship to improve it. They need to improve it more. And another thing, a general review needs to be done in different segments so that in the case of the booking, in the case of the boarding, in the case of the traveling, and the case of the landing, all these things need to be worked on. Then these are my recommendation to you if you are joining Tenalytics. My journey so far has been a very great one, and I wish I have known this earlier. I wish I have known this earlier because I have lost a lot of opportunity because I did not join Tenalytics. But for now, if you are considering Tenalytics to join, my brother and my sisters, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. Just 1 week will convince you. 1 week will convince you. Thank you very much.
Aziz, this is absolutely brilliant. The fact that you even had a slide, I was blown away. I mean, this is you showing that you are a real business analyst, and I'm super, super impressed. Fantastic. And I'm impressed by your, seeing the dashboard alone, what you created within the space of 2 weeks.
Thank you so much.
And that's just Power BI. I mean, that's absolutely fantastic. Well done, Aziz.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for taking out time to share your experience with other people too, because it's important that people see that Aziz started on the 7th of October, if I'm correct. 7th of October.
Yes, sir.
Today is 20th, just 13 days after. See what Aziz is creating and building using Power BI. That's super impressive. Well done, Aziz.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you one more time for coming around again. So you can see Aziz's profile, Jira group. So you find yourself in different groups when you get to work on projects as well. SDLC group, Jira group, Oscar group, and so on. So that's Aziz. You can see Aziz is very serious and very enthusiastic about his journey. He even had to put his group as part of his profile picture. Madinat is in Agile group. Good to have you on the call, Madinat. Well done, Aziz. That's absolutely brilliant. Okay, I know we have more people on the call. We have Ubong sent it to me.
We have Yole.
Yole, okay. So I think we'll take Yole and then we'll start to wrap up because of time. All right. So Yole, if you're on the call, please, you can unmute yourself very quickly. Okay, I've seen you.
Hello, good evening, everybody.
Hi, Yule. Can you put on your video so we can see you? Good evening, Yule.
I'm in Nigeria and they've done the worst right now. So my lights are turned off. So sorry.
No problem about that.
So,
all right, Yule, so very quickly, I know, do you have anything to present?
Yes, I do.
Can you do that in about 2-3 minutes because of time? Is it possible?
Yes, definitely. I'll be doing
Okay.
that. So let me share my screen.
All right. So Yole, please, when did you join? Just tell us when you joined as well.
Okay. So good evening, everybody. My name is Lemo Yolo Ojo, and So I joined Tenalytics October 7th. I'm in same cohort 23 with Aziz. I'm in the team SDLC group. So my transition into tech was quite amazing. This year, I decided that I was going to become a business analyst, and I initially actually paid about 100,000 to another school. I paid 100,000 to another school, and it wasn't funny. After the training, I didn't get anything, and I sent a huge note to them that they wasted my money. So I was a bit discouraged. That was in July, and I don't know. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can see your slide, Yule.
Okay, great. So I stumbled on Tenalytics when I was searching for another school, because I actually got into 2 interviews and I missed it because I didn't have projects to showcase. So basically, the other schools were just focused on passing the CBAP exam, which was terrible for me because I had all the theoretical knowledge, but I had no clue what to do with the tools that are needed for proper analysis. So when I saw the advert, and then I was like, oh, this is a good school. And then I saw the money, I was like, Omo, this is serious. But when I chatted with the customer care, they were like, oh, we have installment payments. And I jumped on it. In fact, I got my other friend to join, Amoma, and Amoma has been very hyped about all we've been learning. I have never used Excel. Like, when I mean never, I really don't like it. When they talk about Excel, it feels like you're talking about, going to the third heavens and or very dramatic. But then when we started our classes last Saturday, the first class was going to be on Excel, and I was like, why not just start with something simpler? But by the time we were done, iSocial is really, really a very good tutor. By the time we were done, you can see this. So my very first, sorry, my very first, this is my very first dashboard,
Yeah,
the
Yule.
ABC retail. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can see so you have 7 slides. You are currently on the last slide 7. So we can't see your slideshow. So I'm not
Oh,
sure why
wow.
that's, yes. I can see
Okay.
slide 7.
You can see the word slide 7, you mean?
Yeah, so you have Power BI dashboard. It says Sunshine Report Analysis Dashboard, Excel dashboards. Yeah, on slide
Okay, can
6
you?
right now. Yes.
Okay, so is it showing now?
Yes, it's showing. Go ahead and speak.
Okay, great. Okay, so this is my very first dashboard after our first class. This was what I came up with, the ABC Retail Customer Behavior Dashboard. And these numbers here, everything looks dramatic, but it's really nice. These are card visuals, and this browsing frequency, product search method are all slicers. These are charts that you can get from, maximizing your Excel sheets when you create a pivot table and all of that. I sound very smart now, but that's because they really did, a very, very nice job. And last class was about Power BI, and I'll just share with you how interesting it was. So this is where we started from. So normally when they give you, so what they did was they shared us into groups, and we got what's it called? We got case studies to work with, and I would have shared that, but I want to go fast. So we're giving tables, and then we have to clean up this data, and then we
Yeah,
move
Yule, we
to
can't see the data. I'm still seeing slide 6 on your PowerPoint.
wow.
Oh, yes, I can see it now. I can see it now.
Okay, maybe I should just go on presenting like this.
Yes. Yeah, just
Is
present
this
like this
better?
without the slideshow. I think this is better.
Okay, great. Okay, so we went from the table view where we cleaned up the data and all of that, and then we moved on to the model view. This basically is Power BI helping us create a relationship, right? If my Power BI was on, when I do this, you would see it saying, okay, there's a customer ID in the customer database, and then there is customer ID in the daily transaction and all of that. That creates a relationship. right? And we had, for this daily transaction, we had the primary key and a lot of foreign keys. These are things that you would learn. So by the time we were done creating a relationship through the model view, we went on to our report. And this is my Mascop sales dashboard. In creating this, firstly, I had a very blank screen. And then I started with working on my canvas and then answering a couple of questions that, I don't know, let me see if I can share that. Can you see this now?
No, we're still seeing yours. Don't worry, Yole, I think you should just go ahead and present the slide so that
Okay, great.
you can save time.
All right.
Yes.
So by the time we were done, um, this was what I came up with. So you are taught how to, if you notice, Aziz dashboard had different colors. So you're not limited when it comes to presenting or creating recommendations with your dashboards. You can explore. You also check the other designs I did. So in my 1 week, I have had to create 3 dashboards. And we've had to work with 3 case studies. This is the first one, the ABC Retail Customer Behavior Dashboard. And then we had the Sunshine Results Analysis Dashboard and the Mascop Sales Dashboard. This Mascop was created with Power BI, and these other 2 dashboards were created with Excel. So basically, I don't know what is remaining to learn, literally, because I'm wondering what's going to happen in the next 3 months. I probably would need to just call our president and say, you know what, hire me because I know so much already. And in 1 week, sincerely speaking, I think what is being charged for this course is too little for what the value that we are getting. The fact that we get responses when that was also one trouble I had. You can't get people to answer the questions you are actually asking. And to become a business analyst, you need to be able to understand questions to be able to interpret it properly. And that's one thing that we learn. A lot of us sometimes make mistakes when we're trying to interpret the questions. At the end of the day, it's not about creating beautiful dashboards. It's being able to understand the problem of that particular company and being able to provide solutions and recommendations that will take them to the next level. Every company wants to make profit. And if you can learn how to actually help them get better, I think it's worth it. And 10Analytics is highly recommended. Like I said, before I even made payments, I talked about them so much. My friend made payments 3 days before I did, and she's currently one of the very active students in the group. And so after every class, we have discussions personally outside the group, and it's amazing. She teaches me, I get to teach her, and your groups, we're also divided into groups, and in every group, you see people that are either ahead of you in the studies or below you, but nobody has this I'm smarter than you kind of thing. Everybody is learning. You see some people with over 20 years experience in the corporate environment, and everybody is literally learning. It's an amazing learning environment, and I love the fact that they encourage us to get smarter. And I was talking to a friend who is also considering the program, and I just told her, if you don't have critical thinking skills, and you know that, okay, I'm a mom of 2, one of the downsides of pregnancy is the fact that you start to have forgetful memories and all that. If you have that, don't worry, just come for the class. Whatever they are teaching you, you don't even need to watch the videos too much. You are going to understand because it's as simple as ABC. My daughter, she's 4 years. I was watching one of the videos that were sent to watch me do it videos, and she literally could explain a little part of the videos she watched. I just told her, teach me this thing, I'm not understanding, and she said it. She doesn't know what she's saying, but that's to tell you that if I even put this course before her, in the next 3 months, she will literally be doing Excel and all of that. That's how simple the training has been, and that's amazing it has been. I shared my slides with a couple of friends, and they're like, you're so smart. I'm like, yeah, you know these things. So I'm wondering what's going to happen in the next 3 months. And I know for a fact that by the time I'm ready to apply in January, I would be asking for a whole lot of money because I would have learned so much. So I want to say a big thank you, and I want to highly, highly recommend 10Analytics. If you are still struggling to make a decision, I'm wondering why. I really am. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yole. This is fantastic and very impressive what you've been able to achieve. And thank you very much for taking our time to come around today to share your experience. We deeply appreciate you coming around. Okay, so we've heard from Aziz, we've heard from Yole. Fantastic. I can imagine Yole, she's done all this within the space of just a week plus, and she can't even fathom what she would be able to get within the space of 3 months. And that's when you become a superstar, Yole. And when you get into interviews, you demand what you want to get. Okay. We have one more person, but before we go to the last person for today, I'll just quickly walk you through the costs, because my DM is buzzing with questions. Or how much would it take for me to be a part of the program? All right. To be a part of the program with us at Tenalytics, the original fee to join is 600 Canadian dollars if you are paying in Canadian dollars, or 400 pounds if you are paying in pounds, or 400,000 if you are paying in Naira. All right. But we have a discount for everybody on the call. And we do this when we have new sessions coming up, new cohorts coming up, and we have a discount for everybody on the call. For not everybody, obviously, for the first 20 people to get into the space, to want to be like Yole, like Aziz, become a business analyst and learn the skills. Within the space of 2 weeks, you've seen what Aziz and Yole have been able to achieve. You'd also find yourself in that same, situation. So to be a part of the program, all you have to do, rather than paying the full amount of 400 pounds, you get to pay 300 pounds. And the payment can be made in installments. You heard what Yole said when, this money I think I need to have a discussion with somebody. I should reach out to the customer success team, and then they made some arrangements for her. All right. So the first payment is 200 pounds to get into the class, to get registered, and then 100 pounds 1 month after the program commences. Once we confirm your payment, you receive a welcome kit. The welcome kit contains the things you need to get the program started. You need to install Excel. How do you download and install? You need Power BI, you need SQL, PostgreSQL. How do you download and install, and so on and so forth. Yole and Aziz will be starting their SQL class tomorrow. And as business analysts, they'll be equipping themselves with the skills to interact with databases. And if you're paying in Naira, instead of paying the full amount of 400,000, you get 100,000 Naira discount. It's an early bird discount for the first 20 people from this call, from this session, to be a part of the program. 200,000 to get started, and then 100,000 a month after the program commences. And if you're paying in Canadian dollars, instead of 600, you get to pay 500. You have 100,000 discount, 100 Canadian dollars, I beg your pardon, discount, 350 to get into the class, and then 150 1 month after the program starts. And how do you make payments? The link will be shared by my colleague Ubong, the superstar Ubong, that Aziz said is not sure Ubong sleeps or Ubong has a life, because he responds every single time you send him a message. So Ubong is on the call. He's going to send the details on how to make payments, but you'd also have that available when you get the slide. All you have to do is click on this link. Okay, if you click on this link, it takes you into a page, which I'll share very quickly. Okay, it takes you into a page that contains the payment details. All right, so Yole, Aziz, and the other person who'll be coming to speak, they all joined the same way you joined. All right, they joined a free session like this and eventually decided, look, I want to make the jump. I want to start my journey into tech. I want to know how to use Excel to do fantastic stuff, use Power BI to build amazing dashboards, and so on, and learn all the other technical aspects of business analysis. And not just that, of course, you have the other aspects of CV review, which they will be doing during the course of their program as well. So once you click on the link, if you want to make payments in Naira, you have the option to do that. And all you have to do is click on any of you can either click on the first link that says full or first part payments. Okay. So if you want to make payments, the full payments for business analysis, you click on this, the business analysis program, and then you can select either full or part payment. So if I click on this and select full payments, I can make the one-time payment of 300,000 to be a part of the class, or I can make the part payments of 200,000 and pay the balance of 100,000 1 month into the program. All right. And that's how to make payments in Naira. And of course, if you're somewhere in Europe, in Germany, in the Netherlands, in Poland, I know as somebody said, I think that was Emechebe, who's joined from Poland. You can also make payments using PayPal. All right. And all you have to do is click on either of the link, full or part payments. And then you'd see, if you click on full payment, for example, you'd see the £300, okay, to pay the one-off payment to get into the class. So if you click on buy now, it takes you can either make payment using PayPal if you have a PayPal account, or you select the option that says pay with your credit or debit card, and then you get to pay with your credit or debit card if you are paying from outside the UK, somewhere in Europe, and so on. Now, for those in Ghana, our Ghanaian brothers and sisters, the best option for you to pay is to use the PayPal option, okay? Use the Paystack option, all right? That's the Naira payments. So the Paystack option for the Ghanaians is a lot more seamless, and it does the conversion for you automatically. So if you're in Ghana, if you're in Cameroon, it's easier for you to make the payments using the Paystack option. And of course, you can also do a direct bank transfer. You can pay to our UK bank account, or you can pay to our Nigeria bank account, which is a Fidelity Bank account. If you do the direct transfer, all you have to do is, once you make payment, take a screenshot as your proof of payment, and then upload the proof of payment here. Okay, once you click on the link to upload, you'd see where to enter your details. You enter your email, your first name, your last name, and you see the option to upload the proof of payment. And once we confirm your payment, you get a welcome kit to join the class. All right, I'll go back to the slides, and that's just to show you how to navigate the payment to be a part of the program. Okay, you also have the account details on the screen. If I were you, I'll take a screenshot of this page so that I can be part of the first 20 to take advantage of the discount. Now, some people would say that, oh, I won't have time in November, or I won't have time in December to be a part of the class. I'd like to join and, you know, defer my program to subsequent months. You can defer your program to January. You can pay now and defer till January. The advantage for you is you'll be getting the discount at this rate today, okay? And you don't have to make any additional payments in the future and so on. So you take advantage of the discounted fee for the month of November, and you don't have to pay the full amount eventually, okay? So take advantage of the discount for the first 20 people to be a part of this program from this session. And there are so many fantastic testimonials. I would love you, when you get the slide, listen to all the stories of the people that have been able to transition, okay, from Cynthia to Koinsola to Desola to Rafiat, Oluwatoyin to Olubemi, and all the brilliant, fantastic professionals that have joined our program, and they are doing amazing stuff across different regions across the globe. All right. I know I said I was going to show you one more thing, which is searching for those jobs and applying to the jobs. But then before we move to that, I want to take just one more person, and then we'll go into LinkedIn. I'll take just about 10-15 minutes. How much is the BA training? That's the amount, Letita. Okay, so if we take a screenshot of this page, this covers the amount for the BA program. All right, this covers the amount for the BA program, and you can make payments using several options, as I've mentioned, or you can do a direct transfer by making payments into any of these account details. Just take a screenshot of this, use your phone, take a screenshot, and then you are good to go. And if you ever need to reach out to us, just like Yole had to send us a message to say, oh, can I have a payment plan and so on, you can reach out to us on any of these numbers. All right, just send us a message. Somebody would respond to you faster than you can imagine. All right, just send us a message and somebody would respond to you. All right, Ubong, please confirm that we still have the last
we have
person.
Oluwatoyin. Yeah, Oluwatoyin on the call.
Oluwatoyin. Okay, Oluwatoyin is here already. Oluwatoyin, sorry for keeping you waiting. If you can put on your video so we can spotlight you for people to see. Are you there, Oluwatoyin? You are muted.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, I may not be able to put on my video.
Okay.
I'm
All right.
so
So
sorry about
Oluwatoyin,
that.
no problem at all. Within the next 2 minutes, if you can quickly just, tell us where are you joining us from, first of all?
I'm in Nigeria.
Nigeria.
In Ibadan.
Fantastic.
Nigeria, yeah.
Ibadan. Interesting. So Oluwatoyin is joining us from Ibadan, Nigeria. So Oluwatoyin, when did you join the training?
Okay, I joined in August.
August.
I
Oh,
think we
fantastic.
started August 5th. Yes.
All right. So go ahead, please, Oluwatoyin.
Okay. I actually saw an advert on Instagram. I think there's this guy in Canada that spoke about analytics, and I went to research about it. And I joined this training, this free training, like every one of you is presently. And I was able to pick some things, and I became interested in business analysis. So I enrolled, I think I joined maybe sometimes around July. Then I decided to enroll in August, and I never regretted joining the program anyways. And it was highly impacting. Talk about the micro, Power BI, SQL, the SDLC, and it was really a wonderful training. And a lot of things I never knew that could be possible, especially transitioning from customer service to business analysis. I realized it's something that is possible. And presently, I've been given an opportunity in my place of work because where I work, I can't really quote that I worked with Tenalytics. But I was able to speak with HR of my company to say, okay, presently I'm going through this training. So do I have any opportunity in any other departments where I can gain more insight into business analysis? And I've been given that opportunity to participate in projects in another unit presently, where I'll be able to gain more experience as a business analyst. So I want to advise every one of you, it's a wonderful one if you're able to go through this. And it's not even about the Power BI alone, the mentorship program where we are being taught how to tailor our CV along with whatever experience we had and the business analysis that we want to go into. Also, we're taught on how to impute this into our LinkedIn profile and how to use ChatGPT to tailor our past experience with the present training that we are having. So I want to say thank you to Adeza, Ifemena, Victor, Linda, and every other person. Okay, without mentioning, I want to remember his name. I've forgotten right now. I want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you so much. And I advise all of you. In fact, presently, I spoke with one of the coordinators today that I want to also go for data analysis because I want to know more and I want to gain more experience. I want to be vast in tech. So I would love to enroll myself, and I'm even planning to enroll my daughter for data analysis as well. Thank you, Adeza. It was a wonderful time with your group. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Oluwatoyin. I'm so impressed. Enrolling your daughter, that's amazing. I mean, giving her that early start, in life, equipping her with the skills and so on. Most of us today, our generation, started to learn about tech well into our professional careers. We all started out with something else and then, pivoted into tech. But I mean, giving that early exposure is absolutely phenomenal. Thank you very much, Oluwatoyin, for coming around to share your own story as well.
In fact, I actually want to add like I told her, she's presently into website designing, and she's studying computer science. She's just in 100 level, but she's so more interested in anything that have to do with tech. So that's why I really want to encourage her, because I got to have this opportunity not late, but I would love my children to have better opportunity than I do. So that's why I want to expose her to this early in life, so that she'll be able to start well in life. Thank you, Ellie.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Oluwatoyin. That's absolutely brilliant. And for taking out time on a Friday evening to come share your experience with us. That's brilliant. And getting a different role. And that's what we always tell people. Look, for some people, they want to transition. I want to change organizations. But then even in your current organizations, you can move. Okay, you can move from one role to the other role, to another role that you think you would have more career, fulfillment and add more value as a professional. So that's absolutely brilliant, Oluwatoyin. So I have some questions in my chat. I'm just going to respond. I can see Abimbola is asking, how do I pay in dollars? Now, if you want to make payments in dollars, all you have to do, you can use any of the two options, the PayPal. Once you make payments with the pound option, it's 300 pounds. It does the conversion for you automatically. You're paying in dollars, in US dollars. Okay, so we don't have a dollar link or a dollar, separate options. Or we could have, if not, we keep on having so many different options or different currencies. So you can either use the Canadian dollar link, or you use the pound link to make the payment if you are paying in dollars. Okay, so that's the easiest way for you to get that sorted. Then Debs has also made payments, and Debs is asking, how do I upload? So Debs, if you see the link which Ubong Ebong sent in the chat, all you have to do is click on that link and you see where you upload your payment receipts. All right, that's the same link you have on the slide here. So even if you can't do it on the call right now, Debs, you can do it after. All you have to do is click on this link and you see the option where you upload the payment proof, and then we confirm that for you. All right. I'm seeing the messages coming to my direct message. It's a bit difficult to track all of them. Okay. Let me see. Please, I paid for October, but couldn't start to be joining in November. That's not a problem. That's not a problem, Olaya. That's not a problem at all. Just send us a message and we'll organize that for you. Okay. Now, before we wrap up, there's something I quickly want to show you, like I promised. I want to show you how to search for some of these jobs. Okay. And I'll just quickly share my screen. We'll do that in 10 minutes and then wrap it up for today. It's been a day long spent, and I think we've had very fantastic sessions today. Highly impressed with all the good feedback and the value people are getting from the program. Okay, now what you want to do, I'm just going to quickly use LinkedIn because of time. You want to go to jobs. Okay, you want to go to jobs, click on jobs, and then search for the job. And you can also filter for locations. You can filter for different, work modes or work models, from hybrid to on-site or fully remote, and so on and so forth. So if I come here and I click and I search business analysts, and I'm not going to select any specific location, but because, of course, I'm in the UK, automatically it has United Kingdom, and then I can start to search for the different jobs. Now, what you need to focus on when searching for jobs is the requirements. What do they want you to have? What do you bring to the table? That should be your focus. All right. So you look through all the different jobs. Okay. So this is a junior business analyst role, and this was posted 4 hours ago. All right. The Cambridge University Press, an assessment. So I scroll down a bit, and I hope you can see my screen. Or do I need to, let me just expand it a bit, maximize a bit. Okay. So again, about the role and what you'd be doing. You join the Central Technology Business Analysis team under the guidance of a principal business analyst. But what will you be doing? And what are the skills you need to bring, on board? You would gather and interpret complex information. You would elicit and develop clearly documented, traceable requirements for change initiatives. All the things we talked about today. Communicate effectively with all stakeholders to ensure understanding of prioritized requirements. Undertake modeling and visualization techniques appropriate for the project. Understand the business analysis team standards and apply them to analysis and so on and so forth. About you, understanding of the role of business analysis, highly motivated, strong skills as communication, good stakeholder management skills. Then you have the rewards and benefits and so on. So again, and this is where I always tell people that, look, don't be discouraged by the misconceptions out there. You need to have one heavenly certificate that will get you the job. Is there any requirement for a certificate here? No, nowhere. Now, when you go for an interview, you'll be assessed, and your assessment would be on the requirements. How good are you? What's your level? How can I test your competency or the competencies you have with regards to business analysis? And that's the focus. Let's look at another one very quickly, and then we'll move on to, some in Canada. So I'll click on this. Okay. So this is another role, Cadence Resourcing. I think this is likely going to be a recruiting agency or thereabout. So this is a hybrid role. It's contract, mid to senior level. It's a mid to senior level role. And let's see if we can get details about the job itself. Okay, so I think I clicked on something. Let's go back very quickly. Okay, so this is all they have here. All right, so nothing really extensive. It is, the major thing that sticks out here is experience working with Azure, ESB, and Power BI is highly desirable. Okay, so not even a key requirement. It is highly desirable. They desire you to have, you have it, you have an advantage. So Power BI is not even a key requirement for you. All right, but if you have it, it is a highly desirable requirement. The role involves gathering data requirements, writing dashboards, and translating dev talk to a wider business. Okay, this was posted, quite a while ago, 27th of September. And there are so many roles, business analyst role. This is hybrid as well. And check the requirements. What do they expect you to have? We are looking for people to return to work after a break, able to work full-time, strong aptitude and interest in business, at least 5 years of previous experience, Scrum Master. Here they're looking for a Scrum Master, BSc practitioner, and so on. All right, so you look at the job and you look at the requirements for the job, and that's what tells you what you need to look out for. Okay, so let's look at this very last one from Hayes. What you need to succeed: experience working as a business analyst, ability to use Excel to capture data in a structured way using tables and lookups. Okay, VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, HLOOKUPs, and so on and so forth. All right. Summarize data using pivot tables, which is going to be your bread and butter when you join the program. Basic commercial understanding of business, confident communication, experience working in a group, competent user of Word and PowerPoint to create high quality deliverables and assets. The role pays up to £47,000. And that's really what you need to get this job. So when you look at this again, you ask yourself the question, where is the certification? All right. Now let's tailor it to Canada. So I'll come here and type Canada. Let's look at one or two roles. Let's look at one or two roles. Okay. So here we have business planning and performance analyst. So not even a direct business analyst role. It's a business planning and performance analyst. All right. So let's look at what they want. Post-secondary, minimum of 2 years work experience, strong technical skills with Excel, pivot tables, lookups, macros, be a critical thinker, good mathematical aptitude. What else? Well-developed organization skills, exceptional communication, desire to learn new skills. And that's pretty much what you need to bring to this role as a business analyst. All right, let's check for another one. This is a business analyst with Nestle. And interestingly, you have 2 alumni working in this company. So you can see that here, 2 Tenalytics alumni works with Nestle in Ontario, Canada. Okay, so let's look at the job requirements for this as well. Okay, so it's a business analyst role, full-time, mid to senior level. But let's look at what you need to bring. Let's see if they have it here summarized. Position summary. You're looking for a business sales analyst based at our Nestle Purina, Canada office. 3 weeks vacation. These are the benefits. All right, what you do. Okay, so you join the team and analysis evaluation of sales. Okay, so you'd analyze sales, shipment data, and so on and so forth. And you'd also what? Conduct promotional analysis and evaluations. All right, provide inputs to support account plans, volume submissions, trade spend, engage the account team to support numerical findings, act as a liaison in communication between cross-functional groups. So you act as a what? As a bridge. You act as a bridge or a middleman, like Emechebe said at the beginning of the session, all right? And so you work with cross-functional teams, manage and develop customer administration, including contracts, new product forms, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's look for the technical skill required. Okay, and here we go. University degree, 2 to 3 years experience, able to handle and prioritize multiple projects, financial acumen, understanding profit and loss drivers, excellent understanding of technology, Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams, business objects, advanced forecasting, and so on. Previous experience and extraction of analysis of POS data. All right, so you need to have SAP and Power BI experiences and assets. Okay, so you even understanding Power BI on this role would be an asset to the team. So these are the things you need to focus on. How do I acquire these skills? Will I learn all of this during the program? Absolutely, you will. Do you see anywhere they said you need a particular type of certification? No. All right. So don't focus on what a lot of people give excuses and reasons for why they really can't get jobs, and they try to rub it off on you. And when you follow that type of herd mentality, you then feel it is so difficult and find it difficult to land a role. Okay. I'm not going to bore you with too many other testimonials, but this is how you search. You can also check for the US, United States, and do your search and check for jobs and check for the skills, the requirements, and so on. Okay, so this is a business analyst role, but specifically for what? SQL. All right, this is specifically for SQL. So what you'll be doing is you work a lot with what? SQL. All right, so 3 or more years of business experience working with interface of information technology, knowledge of a medical management. So this is a company within the health sector, if I'm correct, because you work with the medical management information system, strong analytical business process reengineering tools, and writing SQL to perform data analysis. So for this role, you need to have good SQL skills, and that's what they need for this business analyst role. So you do this and you check the different, requirements and what you need to get these different jobs. All right, and that's what your focus should be on, not on what the company has not requested for. Okay, Helen said I've paid using PayPal. That's absolutely fine, Helen. Once, like I said, all you need to do is fill the form, upload your proof of payment, and once we confirm, you receive an email from us. Or you paid earlier this week, yet to receive a welcome kit. So confirm you received an email, Helen. You should receive an email from us. If not, Ubong will take note of that, and that would be addressed for you. All right. Again, before we wrap up today, now we've gotten so many instances where, and I'll show you somebody that did not join our session, but he didn't join the masterclass just like you have joined, but he eventually registered and he got a job with the NHS last year. I'm going to show you the guy very quickly. And that's why it's important. If you have a colleague, you have a friend, you heard when Yole also mentioned that, oh, I had a friend, we joined together and we are learning together. You have an accountability partner. That day you feel very lazy and you really can't join a class, you have somebody that'll tell you that, look, Yole, where are you? Oh, you need to be a part of the class and so on. Now, Uthman, this gentleman over here, fresh out of the university, he didn't join our masterclass. He didn't know anything about analytics, but his elder brother joined the session and then sent all the details to him and told him that, look, I'm going to pay for you. I want you to be a part of this. Uthman joined us, completed the program. I worked with Uthman during his interview, walked him through all the nitty-gritty. He was given a case study on Excel, 100% Excel, his assessment. He had to present. And I told him that, Uthman, I'm not going to help you with this case study. Go back, analyze it yourself, solve the problems, and then let me see what you've done. Uthman went back and he did 95% of the job. All I had to add was just about 5%. Oh, do this here, make these changes, and that was it. He did his presentation. They were very impressed. And today, Uthman works as a business intelligence officer with the NHS in the UK. He didn't join our masterclass, but he was a beneficiary because his brother joined. So if you have a friend, you have a colleague, you have your family members that you think can benefit from this, please share the message with them. All right. And follow us across all our platforms, social media platforms, from LinkedIn to Instagram to Facebook to X, and across all our platforms. We'll have so many fantastic sessions coming up, and I'm sure you'd want to be a part of those sessions. All right. I'll just see if I have more questions so that we can close for today. If you have more questions in the chat, please send your questions and I'll be very happy to take your questions. Let's be patient till Monday. Oh, can you please explain the difference between BA in Salesforce and normal BA? So Salesforce is, they want you to have some understanding of the Salesforce application as a service. So Salesforce itself is more or less like a CRM, okay, that organizations use. So they want you to have that understanding of implementation and of implementing Salesforce systems and also running with the system and so on and so forth. It's different from the main business analyst role because you are focused on one particular type of application. All right. And Salesforce itself is not something you can learn anywhere. All right. You can't learn Salesforce as a tool where you get to watch videos and all of that. So the best place is you'll get to learn those specific type of CRMs or ERP systems with organizations. So you get to learn them by experience. Okay. Somebody's asking, why only 1 month for internship? Is that enough to gain the skills? So the internship is not for you to gain the skills. The internship is to hone your skills. Hone, H-O-N-E. All right. So you've gained the skills already. The internship is to hone your skills and make it a lot better and put it into practice. Okay. So when you solve things in school, the major reasons why we had issues with university learning is because you learn dy, dx, differentiation, integration, statistics, measure of central tendency. But how do you apply it in the real world? How is it relevant? Okay, so now you've learned all those things working on projects. You then work on a real life project where you get to implement and solve problems. So that's what the internship is meant for. It's a learning experience, but at the same time, you are working on a real life problem. Okay. All right. Okay, would we learn? You don't need Python as a BA. You don't need Python at all. Some people will even tell you, if you look at the role we've looked at, okay, the one that said SQL did not have Excel. They said Power BI is an advantage. It wasn't a specific requirement. So even the data analytics bits of business analysis, you'd find some organizations where they don't need you to use Excel, Power BI, or SQL because they already have a data team comprising of data engineers, data analysts, BI intelligence analysts, data scientists. Your role is a BA. So Python is far away from it, very, very far away from a business analyst. Okay. Yeah, so John, 1 month is enough. Absolutely. Yes, Modinot, you need to focus on that. Software as a service, platform as a service are not things that you can learn without you having to work in those organizations. Okay. All right. So I think I've covered all the questions I can see. How much is it to start? So again, you have so many professionals that have been a part of our program. And like I said, ensure that you walk through, read their stories, watch the videos, see what they've done and how amazing they are. And our participants work in some of the biggest organizations across the globe. And you get to hear them speak when you watch their videos as well. And we've also been featured across some of the major publications, from Business Day, where they featured us on helping Africans land tech jobs across 4 continents. We had a hackathon where 1 million was up for grabs. That was in the year 2022, last year, if I'm correct. We also had the Punch interviewed myself and Efemena, how Nigeria can make data-driven decisions. You have policies implemented without clear directions and the impact it would have. And most of them can start from the implementation of data-driven decisions. But first of all, you need to gather the data. So how do we create that environment where we can gather data and then start to make decisions that are a lot smarter and from a point of knowledge? Okay, so this is the hackathon as well, featured by the Vanguard. 5 Africans win big in the data analytics hackathon. PR Fire, a major publication in Europe, also featured us. Tenalytics reiterating commitment to help Africans land tech jobs. And I talked about the scholarship we had in the month of March for 300 women. And of course, this was also featured by Tech Cabal, EdTech platform, Tenalytics grants tech scholarship to 300 women. You need to read it as well. Absolutely fantastic. We had an alumni hackathon where people that are currently part of our program and are already completed the program as well got together and participated in a competition where they solved a problem related to one of the SDG goals. And the winner went away with $1,000. And we had judges from Deloitte's banking group, Michelle Conway. We had Sadiq. Sadiq was from Google, a customer analytics engineer with Google. We had Sebastian, who is an AI and ethics researcher with the University of Cambridge. And then we had Olamide, the head of data and analytics with Wema Bank. He was a part of the program, part of the judges for the hackathon. It's on YouTube, okay? So you can watch the hackathon over here. The link is also available for you to see the amazing work we've been doing over the years. All right, I think I'm going to call it a day at this point. I know for some people who maybe you joined us a bit late, or you're still a bit confused that, oh, I'm in supply chain, I'm in logistics, I'm in strategy, I'm not sure which of our programs is good for me. I need to speak with somebody. I need to speak to Adeza. I need to speak to Efemena. I need somebody to guide me. We're going to have clarity sessions come up next week, Tuesday, and you can be a part of the clarity session. All right. So once you receive the recording and the slides for today's session, you'd also see the link for you to indicate if you want clarity sessions, and then would have more like a one-on-one with you to help you make that decision and address different areas. So thank you very much, guys, for spending your Friday evening with me. I deeply appreciate it. And for the people that came up to speak and share their own experience, from Yole to Oluwatoyin to Aziz, you guys are super, super amazing. Thank you very much, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. And I hope to see you all join the program starting on the 4th of November. So 2024 will be a different story entirely by the time you're done training with us. All right. So looking forward to seeing all of you join the program. Have a wonderful weekend, and cheers, everybody.